It is 10 o'clock. Welcome in. This is Three Man Front. We are live at Social Taco. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. Come on by and see us. The doors open up at 11 o'clock. We're located, second floor, Taco Terrace, that we have christened this area of the restaurant. We take it over every Tuesday.
Yeah, we do. What's going on with the parking lot out there in that little center section?
I believe they're doing some work because, there's a parking garage right underneath the top of that. So I think they're kind of redoing the concrete on the top level.
I didn't know if we were going to get, decorative concrete with our logo out there.
That would be sweet.
That'd be awesome.
I mean, the Edge hooked us up when we did a remote when you were in San Antonio. They had it all decked out in Three-Man Front everywhere we turned.
I feel like ever since, Pat, we put our stamp on Tuesdays here at just in the square in general and all of Homewood, look how we've revitalized this old, decrepit area.
You said that. You're a Homewood resident.
I'm kidding.
Let you deal with the backlash.
It was
on that
great before we got here, and it'll be great after we leave. But we appreciate our friends here at Social Taco for having us every Tuesday and the great city of Homewood.
So coming up in a couple minutes, we hope to catch up with Mike Griffith. He was on a cruise last week. Can't wait to hear about the kind of cruise he was on.
How do you think Mike spends?
I don't know.
His cruise. I've never been on a cruise.
I've never been on one either.
I'm fascinated by cruise ship shows now, though.
Oh, are you?
Not like Below Deck or any of that fancy schmancy.
Oh, you're talking about like a off-Broadway show on a cruise ship? Is that what you're talking about? Like a comedy show on a cruise ship?
No, I'm just talking about cruise life, the people who go on cruises. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, yeah, me and my wife, and yes, their portfolio looks much different than mine. So we were going to get, and so they're going to be on this nice ship that has everything that they need, but also they're going to stop at different countries and different stops every day, which I guess typically that's what you do on a cruise ship, but it just sounds like kind of a nice life. I just wonder how Mike Griffith spends his cruise.
We will talk to Mike Griffith, hopefully coming up in just a little bit. Also in the show, we're going to get into our Twitter poll question of the day. It's a very fascinating one in regards to something that was reported last week before the NFL draft in regards to if Jalen Milroe came back to the University of Alabama, that it was going to be a mass exodus, that a lot of the skill players, including the wide receivers, maybe even Ryan Williams, would have departed and gone in the transfer portal. So we've got a Twitter poll question up right now asking folks to vote on that. And it's also interesting because Kalin DeBoer did a radio interview in Seattle, Washington, and we'll play you some clips from that interview where obviously he was asked about that. If Jalen Milroe would have come back, did he anticipate there was going to be a mass exodus of skill players? And then also Kalin DeBoer gave his opinion on – there's a very interesting line of questioning from the host there in Seattle. Kalin DeBoer obviously knows these guys from his time there in Seattle for the Huskies, and it was very interesting. This guy really – it was a fair question, but he took a massive shot at Jalen Milroe. And we'll let you hear what Kalin DeBoer's answer was.
We're kind of cleaning up our conversation that we had with Shedeur Sanders yesterday and where he was drafted, where he wasn't drafted. I did have a chance to talk to a current Division I defensive back that started all of his games last season. Asked him yesterday, who would you rather defend? Would you rather defend Shedeur Sanders? Would you rather defend Jalen Milroe? And instantly he said Shedeur Sanders. Jalen Milroe, what he can do with his legs, the way he can create, it seems like an eternity if you're trying to cover somebody. What it's worth.
Yeah, very much so. So we will get into that a little bit later after we talk with Mike Griffith coming up in just a couple of minutes. Jonathan Nelson, general manager of the Birmingham Barons, big homestand coming up. He will join us at 11:45. And at noon, we're going to go out to Norman, Oklahoma from KREF Radio. Tyler McComas is going to join the show. And let me tell you something. Don't look now, folks, but I am making this prediction right now. When we get to Atlanta and we start voting for SEC preseason rankings, I think Oklahoma's going to surprise a lot of people. They got a really good quarterback. They got Jaden Ott, the outstanding running back from California. They have added Jim Nagy as their general manager of player personnel there in Norman. Yes, there's going to be a lot of pressure on Oklahoma coming into the 2025 season with Brent Venables. But let me tell you something. I personally love what they've been able to do so far with that roster. They needed to do something, right? And yeah. I think they've done a really nice job. And obviously Auburn has to go to Norman this year. Alabama hosts the Sooners. They're going to try to pay back that big loss they had that Conrad made Alabama lose there on the road last season.
Yep.
So good opportunity for a little revenge game.
Yeah, I think that Oklahoma's going to get obviously more love than maybe we thought. Ending the season, you get a new OC, you finally get an identity on offense. Last year, it was just a mess, and then with all the injuries they had, Pat, especially at the skill position.
Yeah, wide receiver was just brutal.
And to defend Jackson Arnold, he was put in a situation where you've got an offense that's in flux. You're not really sure what your identity is as an offense, and oh, by the way, there's nobody to throw to. This while you're trying to learn on the run and play in the SEC. That's a different deal. But yeah, I can support your theory that we'll get some Oklahoma love come Atlanta.
So we will talk to Tyler McComas coming up in the 12 noon hour as we start, obviously, kind of the summer months now where teams will be independently having to work out before we get to late summer, in which you will see then fall camps will begin. Braves win last night here on Jocks 94.5 against the Rockies 6-3. Bryce Elder, rough first inning, but he settled down. Michael Harris, the second, hit a tie-breaking double in the fifth inning. Nick Allen, 3 hits. Eli White, Verdugo, Sean Murphy added 2 apiece, so Verdugo continues his hot hitting. So they knock off Colorado, who falls to 4-24. Losers of 7 straight, 15 of their last 16. Braves are now 13-15,
yeah.
6.5 out.
And I realized they'd won 18 of the last 22 over the Rockies, which I think everybody should have that stat based on what the Rockies have done the last few seasons.
Very much so. Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, fresh off a cruise. Can't wait to talk to him about all the fun things he did on a cruise. Mike Griffith joins us here on Three Man Front. Did you play any shuffleboard while you were on the cruise?
No, I didn't, but I did do a 5K run around the cruise. They have a little that goes by this stuff. I did. I got
Wait a second. Why would you go on a cruise and run a 5K?
You're supposed to do that before you leave, Mike.
Yeah, I felt motivated. I hadn't done one in a while, and I thought, well, how cool, because they have that track that circles the ship. And I thought, how cool would it be, to run, I guess it was 7.5 laps or whatever to get it 5K. How cool would it be, though, to get that run in while you're, looking at the ocean, right? It was a nice 75-degree morning, and, yeah, why not? That's something a little bit different, right?
Yeah, it is. What can you kind of lay out what – because I know it's subscribers and it's a lot of Georgia fans, but it's SEC fans alike. What does this cruise entail?
Well, it's through Royal Caribbean, and it's a package that's designed for Georgia fans. It's the Dog Nation package, and we have 2 or 3 meetups a day, Q&A, trivia contest. We give out prizes. We have an NFL draft party the first night of the draft. We have a what else did we do? Oh, we have a couple meet and greets. One is when the ship stops at the Coco Cay, the Royal Caribbean Private Island. I feel like I should be getting compensated for this advertising, brother. But no, I'm just kidding. We stop at Coco Cay, which is the Royal Caribbean Private Island, which is just unbelievable. I mean, it's like fantasy. Everything but, tattoo of Mr. Rourke.
Oh, there was no tattoo.
Remember that? Remember Fantasy Island?
Wasn't that
a great show? I mean, wasn't that a great concept?
It was fantastic.
It really should. We should have a Fantasy Island, right?
Well, I think they tried to bring it back a couple years ago, and it didn't go very well.
The show or the Fantasy Island? Because I don't know about a Fantasy Island. I don't know.
No, I think they actually tried to bring the show back and with a modern twist to it or something like that.
I did behind the history, whatever biography of the guy who played Tattoo. I would butcher his name right now, but he played hard.
I got a good plot for you. How about this one? Alabama's a championship football program again. What do you think? Fantasy Island, Alabama. Just kidding.
You are starting off.
Too soon. Okay.
You own property here now.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that about Georgia too. I mean, they haven't won an SEC title in 3 months. Just kidding. Sorry, the jokes just keep coming here. I don't.
Okay, so when you're having this Q&A with all these Georgia fans, what is the number one concern from a fan standpoint about this year's Georgia Bulldogs?
The offense, the quarterback position in Mike Bobo. Paul Feinbaum has taken it upon himself to put everyone on notice that he's not a big believer in Mike Bobo. And as you guys know, Paul carries a lot of weight. People listen to what he says. And so, and people were disappointed with the finish against Notre Dame. Obviously, they scored 10 points against Notre Dame. That wasn't exactly a prolific effort by Georgia that, had managed to beat Texas with their backup quarterback. Speaking of Texas, and speaking of the rip jobs here, how about the Georgia walk-on safety, Dan Jackson, being drafted ahead of Quinn Ewers, the guy that we had shoved down our throats for the last 2 years?
I will give you credit, Mike, because you were consistent the entire season about how you felt like Texas was being propped up, that Texas was not as good as advertised. I will give you credit. You're one of the very few in the SEC media that did not drink that Kool-Aid.
I'm not afraid of Texas. That's why. I'm not afraid of Texas. But we say that, and yet they finished as the highest-ranked team in the SEC. But there's no way that we would suggest that they were the best team in the SEC. I mean, Georgia beat them twice. They didn't play Alabama. They didn't play Ole Miss. They didn't play South Carolina. They were the byproduct of a soft schedule. And I thought they showed decent against Ohio State, but I still believe Ole Miss would have been the most dangerous SEC team in the playoff by far. But, yeah, those are the items, and the portal hadn't closed yet, so there was still some trepidation over who Georgia might lose or who they might bring in. And their portal haul was decent. I mean, they got a couple good receivers in there that I think are going to make a difference. I think the Georgia receiving core is going to be noticeably better. The offensive line lost 4 starters, and yet you feel like, if they can stay healthy, they'll have some more congruity up there. Unfortunately, there were a lot of injuries last year and situations where they were playing from behind. And obviously, when you pass protect, it's not advantageous to an offensive line that wants to have that run-pass balance and be able to establish that physicality. Defensively, I think Georgia will be better. So they'll be a contender again. But I think the concerns are valid. I think that, to some extent, you only go as far as your quarterback. I think when I look back over the last 6 years, I want to say that 4 of the last 6 teams to win national titles had transfer quarterbacks. And I think the other 2 were Bryce Young and, I guess the Michigan quarterback. I think, weren't they both first-round picks? So, it does suggest that to have a championship program that you need better than average play. Now, Will Howard obviously didn't go real high in the draft, but, Ohio State, bought whatever it was, 4 or 5 high-profile, including the best defensive player at Alabama, and maybe the SEC and Caleb Downs. So maybe that's a little bit of an outlier with that stat. But I think for the most part, the concerns with the Georgia quarterback position, not that he's not okay, good, but is he great? And does it take great at the quarterback position now that we're in this playoff? You got to win multiple games. Is that going to be a factor moving forward?
Who has more trouble as far as their offense taking a hit, Mike, for the upcoming season with losing their quarterback? Is it Tennessee losing Nico, or would it be Ole Miss losing Jackson Dart?
That's kind of a trick question, and let me break it down. I think it doesn't. Ole Miss lost so much on their defensive front that their quarterback better be awful doggone good. So I don't think we can just limit to quarterback. I'm a big believer in this complementary football. I don't know if Tennessee or Ole Miss are going to be contenders, just to cut to the chase here. I don't know what Ole Miss has done to replace that defensive front. It's a small sample size with the backup quarterback at Ole Miss. He looked good when I saw him against Georgia. Jackson Dart was very good, but Jackson Dart also had some bad games. He also had some turnovers in some, games, if we remember. Florida particularly with the season on the line. So I don't know what the Ole Miss run games, I don't know enough about it, but I think you guys are on point here that neither Tennessee nor Ole Miss will probably be as good as they were last year. The Tennessee thing is, I don't know if we've discussed much of it, but I'm still just befuddled by the whole deal that, you forget what Nico's worth. The question was it worth $2 million to bring back a starting quarterback in the SEC? And I just don't know how the answer is no. When you made him your number one the entirety of spring drills. If there was a problem, you would have pulled the plug long before. But clearly there wasn't, because he was your number one. So now all of a sudden he needs another $2 million. You might say, well, I don't think the guy's worth it. And, he made a deal and he should stick to it. And that's when I would say, okay, well, a couple years before, Rick Barnes, who I don't think has gotten to a Final Four at Tennessee yet, was commanding the salary of the second highest paid basketball coach in the country, or he was going to go to UCLA. And I believe he might have had 5 or 6 years left on a buyout. But you had no problem extending Rick Barnes but you had a problem extending your quarterback in football. And Rick Barnes made a deal too. All these coaches make deals. They all got 6-7 year buyouts, but they're able to renegotiate contracts with 6 or 7 years left, without having won anything big, right? Necessarily.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? Last time I checked, Tennessee made the playoff with Nico and beat Alabama and beat Florida. And now what your quarterback's supposed to do at Tennessee? So, I don't want to get too deep in those weeds, but because all you really asked me was the quarterback situation. I don't think either one of those teams is going to be as good or make the playoff next year. Okay. How about that?
Mike Griffith joins us from DogNation.com, covers the SEC for the AJC, joins us here on Three-Man Front. So I wanted to get your take on the whole Shedeur Sanders thing in the NFL draft. How shocked were you that he fell to 144 to Cleveland? What do you think the problem was in regards to drafting him early?
I think that, they misplayed their hand. I think we've seen it before when there's been elite draft prospects, top 10 guys that don't want to play in the Senior Bowl, that don't want to work out, that don't want to throw at the combine, that want to name the teams that they go to. I mean, it's kind of like playing poker, right? I mean, if you're sitting there with 4 of a kind, you kind of keep putting the chips in with these sort of demands and these attitudes. They thought they had 4 of a kind, and really they had 2 pair. And you wonder, because of Deion's, the respect that he commands and the relationships that he has, I can kind of imagine, and I don't know this happened, but you can sort of imagine like Deion picking up the phone and calling NFL people and those, hey, what do you think of my kid? And what are they going to say? Oh, man, yeah, we love him. Yeah, gosh, I hope we can get a chance to draft him. That's what you say. That's the right thing to say. You don't say, well, actually, Deion, we don't know that we really think he's that good. Is that what you're going to say to your old friend Deion? So I kind of wonder if he'd gotten some bad information. And we know coaches get this all the time. They you kind of live in your own world when you're that powerful of a figure, that popular figure. Nobody really wants to tell you what they really think. You know what I mean? Like I found out, I'll give you an example. This was years ago. Years and years ago. I dated this lady. I really liked this lady. I didn't find out until 3 months in that she thought my cargo shorts were the worst, ugliest thing in the world. It took 3 months for this, though, right? She didn't want to tell me. Nobody really wants to tell you what they really think, right? Nobody really wants to offend you. And you would have thought that at some point or another, somebody would have told him that, hey, we don't really know if Shedeur is a first-round draft pick. So he's carrying himself around like a first-rounder. He's acting like a first-rounder. He's making demands like a first-rounder. I mean, if you got Cam Newton, okay, cool, do it. Wear whatever hat you want. Wear whatever color suit. Because Cam Newton was unbelievable. There's no doubt how good that dude was, right? Mm-hmm. But if you're not, you got to play your hand. Like Georgia had this receiver drafted in the 4th round, Arian Smith. He shows up at the combine and the Senior Bowl and says, look, yeah, I dropped some passes. I got to get better. I got a lot of work to do. He didn't show up there going, man, I'm the fastest guy. Nobody can cover me. I think attitude has a lot to do with it because when you draft that guy into your locker room, if he still thinks he's a first-round pick and acts like a first-round pick, when the pedal hits the mat and he's a backup, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a locker room problem. And if his dad's famous, it's going to be an even bigger problem. So on the one hand, being the son of a famous person like Deion Sanders gets you a lot of benefits and advantages in life. But then on the flip side, it also makes people manage you more carefully because anything that goes wrong with you is going to become a public issue right away because of who your father is. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I don't know that I feel sorry for him or feel good for him, but I just kind of look at it and say, you know what, this is something people can kind of learn from. I've never liked it when guys have said, I'm not going to throw at the draft or I'm turning down the Senior Bowl invitation. I've always thought, that the NFL wants to see you perform and they want to see a competitor and they want to see somebody with the love of the game. But more and more we've seen guys sit out and skip Senior Bowls and not throw at the combine. And sooner or later something like this was going to happen.
I don't feel bad about the cargo shorts. Nobody let any of us know until the fad had ended. The fad ended, and it was like, wow.
As long as you weren't wearing jean shorts. As long as you weren't wearing jorts, Mike.
That's right.
You know what? I gave that up around 2002. The jean shorts were a part of the softball coaching attire there when I was coaching youth softball. But yeah, I went to sweats soon after.
Oh, Mike Griffith, you can find his work at dognation.com and also the AJC at Mike Griffith 32 on X. Mike, always a pleasure. Thank you. Hey, by the way, I can check on your property if you need me to.
Well, I was going to tell you, I've actually got a special. I had someone cancel yesterday, and if someone wants to stay there this weekend, I can give 30% off.
Wow.
So just this week. It's just this weekend, though. It was a late cancellation. Just this weekend. 30% off. I've got vacancy the 30th through Monday the 5th. So 30% off deal if anybody's interested in going down there to Gulf Shores, was thinking about it, wasn't sure. Well, now you got a 30% off deal through WJOX. And
I'm going to sweeten the deal a little bit. We've got the NCAA Beach Volleyball National Championships going on right down the beach from you. You can walk. So you would have added entertainment. Yeah.
You're going to be there? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Will you throw in lunch with you?
Yeah, sure. We'll make it happen.
Hey, as long as you got my dates cleared, right, Mike? We're good, right?
Pat, you're good. You're locked
Mike,
in.
if there's anything that you do the rest of 2025, please do not screw that up for Pat.
I'm looking forward to
because it will roll downhill on all of us. Please make that happen.
Forward to it.
We should be good. We should be good, guys. We should be good. I can't wait. We got SEC softball tournament coming up in Athens next week. Don't forget. And then, my goodness, can you imagine how lit Hoover's going to be for this SEC baseball tournament?
Oh, it's going to be great. Now that
Texas and Oklahoma are here, you think we can get Texas's heads in the aren't they like the best team? Can their heads fit in the dugout? You thought you saw Texas arrogance in football. Wait till you get a load of their baseball team.
Oh, they're like the Dodgers.
Yeah, Schlossnagle will be all about that, no doubt about it. Mike, always appreciate it, man, and we'll catch up with you next week. Thanks,
Mike.
All right, guys. Have a great one. Later.
Take care. That's Mike Griffith joining us from the AJCDogNation.com on the Higginbotham Hotline.
Yeah, the Higginbotham Hotline for all your insurance, financial, and HR needs. It's Higginbotham. They're wonderful people, and they take care of us. We continue live from Social Taco here in Homewood. The door's going to open exactly 38 minutes from right now, and we hope you'll join us. Three-Man Front and Jocks, 94.5.
It's 10:25, Jackson 94.5. Great conversation with Mike Griffith to kick us off on this Tuesday. Social Taco, that's the scene. Come by and see us. Doors open up at 11 o'clock. Molly will be joining me and Landrum here on site coming up in a couple minutes. Conrad, it's always good to have Conrad back. Conrad, you feel okay? Back with your family instead of departing and just leaving us out in the cold like you did the last couple of days?
Yes, I'm really sorry. It was nice being treated like royalty though for a couple of days, and now
don't get used to it.
Here I am back slumming it with you guys, I guess.
Well, don't get too used to it.
What was a part of the royalty? Was it the green room experience? Was it the swag bag? How did you get treated like royalty?
It was I think the caviar that arrived at roughly 7:30 a.m. every day. That was a nice touch.
How can we make you feel better about yourself every day?
I don't know. Maybe warm towelettes that you could hand out to me between every break, or
how about some fresh surströmming? How about that?
You know what? Some fresh surströmming, yes.
So this is all physical. This is nothing emotional.
No.
Okay.
I'm a material kind of person, Landrum. You know that. I have no emotions whatsoever.
You have always been a material girl.
That's right.
Well, spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable, so that's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. And right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Trane home comfort systems. So to find out more, go and visit Trane.com.
So earlier this morning, it was reported the 49ers and star tight end George Kittle, they've agreed to terms on a big new contract extension that now makes him the NFL's highest paid tight end. 4 years, $76.4 million. How about this guarantee, Landrum? $40 million guaranteed.
Yeah.
Trey McBride of Arizona is now number 2 when it comes to tight end pay. That's based on annual value. He's making around $19 million a year. Travis Kelce was the next highest with an average of $17 million a year. So George Kittle now number 1 at that position.
Good for George.
It shouldn't surprise anybody.
No, he's been a solid player.
Very much so.
And then Brock Bowers is going to come and make like $30 million a year in a couple years.
Yeah. That first contract that Bowers is trending towards is going to be a mammoth one.
Mm-hmm.
$40 million guarantee.
Wow. But
he lives in California.
Yeah, he's in the Bay Area.
You got taxes, very high place to live right there outside of the Bay Area. So
it's $100 just to blink out there.
Yeah. So
good for George.
Yeah. Good old Iowa football product.
Mm-hmm. Who would have thought?
I was about to say, if you watch the Receiver show on Netflix, I know Pat became a very big fan of Kirk Cousins from the quarterback show.
Yes.
I became a big fan of Kittle on the Receiver.
No,
he just
I
seems
did
like
too.
a cool guy to hang out with.
Yeah, and I liked his wife. His wife was cool too.
Yeah, they seem very down to earth and relatable, even though he's
very earthy people, or just down to earth, like
no,
grounded?
Not earthy. Like I would like Aaron Rodgers would
not
be earthy.
granola earthy.
But I could see Kittle's being a little bit earthy. I could see him, out at lunchtime,
playing
maybe
hacky sack.
Pulling the hacky sack out. It's so funny that you went there. That's exactly what I was thinking. Yeah.
Well, I mean, when you and I went to college, that was
Birkenstocks. If you didn't have a Frisbee, you better have a hacky sack.
Yeah, we used to hate when we played the intramural sports. Our fraternity would go up against, the ultimate Frisbee folks that would play ultimate Frisbee all the time.
They were the worst.
And they were also the hacky sack group.
Yeah.
Those
guys could sling it.
And we'd show up out there going, we'll show you what real football is. Because ultimate Frisbee is football is a Frisbee.
It doesn't correlate.
No, it doesn't. Didn't work out well.
If you're not good with a Frisbee, your chances are you're not going to be very good at ultimate Frisbee.
Yeah, and for some reason, the IM director always scheduled those games early on Saturday morning after a Friday night party.
They knew y'all were drunk and hungover.
Yeah, they just did not go well.
What did you do for those? Would you go to bed knowing, or would y'all just power through?
Well, see, here's the problem. I was the athletics chairman for my fraternity.
Of course you were.
And so I was in charge of all the teams, and I was in charge of making sure that we had people, because even if we weren't good at that particular sport, we would get what would be called, literally, participation points.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the year, the goal was to win the President's Trophy. And we were fortunate. We won it almost every year. We retired it a couple times in our fraternity house. So we went up against grad school teams. It was a really big deal on campus. And I was just begging people, like grabbing people out of the bed, literally after hitting their head on the pillow after a long night. I don't care. Just go out there and stand, okay? Because we have to get at least participation points, because we're going to get absolutely skull drugged this match, and it always happens.
So did y'all have sportsmanship ratings or anything that you had to be in charge of? Because we had that at Alabama, and a team I was involved in may have missed the postseason one year because we didn't have a high enough sportsmanship rating.
Yeah, they would ding you on bad sportsmanship.
Yeah.
No,
for
thank
sure.
goodness we didn't have that at UAB.
okay.
We could act like total fools and,
we
and
could
not get penalized.
I was a coach for our pledges, our pledge football team, and so the deal was, and this was this was during the fall, but they would have to come and wake me up to take me to the practice that morning, and it was in the wee hours of the morning where it was still dark outside. And they would tell me later on they knew it was a bad sign if I was still up, if I had not been to bed. Those were the worst practices. And I agree. They were. Fun times.
Oh, those are great times. But, yeah, you knew if we were going up against a group that, you would see them on the, the mall area down at UAB, and they were doing hacky sack and throwing the Frisbee. We were pretty much doomed.
I won't say his name, but we had an official that was a member of the fraternity, but he has actually now officiated a Super Bowl, which is wild to think about. But he used to be out there calling
crazy.
games for the IFC.
That's great.
Isn't it?
That is wonderful. When we come back on Three Man Front, we're live at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. Doors open up at 11 o'clock here on the Taco Terrace. We're going to get into these Kalin DeBoer comments in Seattle, Washington, where he addresses if Jalen Milroe would have come back, would there have been a mass exodus from Alabama? We'll get into that next on Three Man Front. 10:35, Jackson 94.5. Welcome back in. We're live at Social Taco. Brand new menu about 3 weeks ago.
Additions to the menu.
It is, yes. Not a complete overhaul, but yes. New additions, fantastic. Come on by and try that. New additions to that menu here at Social Taco. We'll be here until 2 o'clock.
That's right. And you can come and join us here, and it's always a great time. But how about our friends at Second Generation Masonry? If you're looking to improve, update your outdoor living area just in time for the warm weather and entertaining family and friends, well, you can do it with Second Generation Masonry, great Alabama-based company. Whether it's pouring you a new driveway, doing a custom driveway, how about some custom stonework, outdoor kitchen, fireplace, fire pit, they can do it all. Second Generation Masonry, not only residentially but also commercially, they specialize in all of that. Look at some of the completed projects at secondgenerationmasonry.com. Get the free quote today, and as always, tell them the Land's Room from 3-Man Front and Jocks 94.5 sent you.
We'll get into this Kalin DeBoer conversation he had up in Seattle, but I know today is a day in Starkville, Mississippi. A lot of people are kind of scratching their heads about, but the Diamond Dogs, the Bulldogs over there in Starkville, they will have a brand new head baseball coach as Chris Lemonis. He was relieved of his coaching duties effective immediately. That took place yesterday. He was 232, 135 at Mississippi State. Oh, by the way, he won a national championship there at Mississippi State. He is currently 25-19 this season, but he was just 7-14 in SEC play. So Lemonis has been fired. That took place yesterday there in Starkville, Mississippi. You surprised by that move, or you think it was
unless there's something else going on behind the scenes, yeah, I'm surprised that you take a national championship head coach and you dismiss him during the season. We've seen the fickle nature of college baseball. It was already fickle, but now with the transfer portal and everything else, I have to think that maybe he just wasn't seeing eye to eye with some of the leadership there, or maybe because baseball is so big and they've invested so much in that program that things had soured with some of the fans. I don't know. But, yeah, that came as a real surprise to me.
Yeah, so Mississippi State, that will be a very well-thought-of job.
Oh, absolutely. With everything that you have and the history and facility-wise and just where you're located geographically. I just wonder what the collective looks like. I would think that it's very healthy in comparison to whatever their football collective is. So, yeah, that's a big job. That will be highly coveted.
Just looking at the hot board, Kentucky's head coach is mentioned. Oklahoma's head coach is mentioned.
I see Georgia's head coach, Wes Johnson.
Butch Thompson
at Auburn
Yep.
is mentioned as a possibility. That would be interesting. Butch makes about $1.3 million at Auburn. He's 54 years old. Not sure if that's
Auburn's athletic director is the former Mississippi State head coach. Who we'll see. Maybe this means more money for Butch Thompson.
Yep. So yeah, this is going to be Troy's head coach, Skylar Meade. He's mentioned on the hot board for Mississippi State. Rob Vaughn at Alabama is mentioned for the job. So yeah, this is going to be a very well coveted job. And I think you're going to see a lot of big names, and we'll see what happens there over at Mississippi State. So our Twitter poll question of the day is the following. An anonymous NFL coordinator told 247 Sports, if Jalen Milroe had returned to Alabama for his senior season, the Tide would have experienced a significant exodus of skill players, i.e. wide receivers, etc., into the transfer portal. So the question was, do you believe that would have happened? In other words, if Milroe would have come back to Tuscaloosa, would there have been mass exodus? And according to our listeners, very healthy output so far. Yes, departures galore, 70%. No, ridiculous claim, 30%. So the overwhelming majority of our listeners to Jocks 94.5 and 3-Man Front say yes, that folks would have left. Our resident Alabama Crimson Tide expert, Conrad Van Order, do you believe that you would have had those skill positions leave if Milroe would have come back?
Yeah, I think you would have. I think you would have seen a lot of departures. And to be honest, I think, for a lot of fans, you could probably rephrase that. or at least the main part of that you would care about is, would Ryan Williams have decided to transfer if Jalen Milroe came back? Because that's the big thing, right? If you're an Alabama fan, if you had let's say a Jalen Hale coming off an injury and he decided he was going to get in the portal, okay, that might sting a little bit, but losing a guy like Ryan Williams because your quarterback came back, I think that's where a lot of people's mind goes. And yeah, I think you could visibly see frustration on a lot of those guys' faces late in the season last year. And I mean, you can go back and look up Jalen Milroe's passing stats from the last half of the season, and they were absolutely atrocious. So do I think you would have had everybody leave? No. I mean, anytime you talk in an absolute, it's that's not going to happen. But yeah, specifically, do I think Ryan Williams is on the roster right now if Jalen Milroe comes back? I do not.
It's interesting because a couple of games come into my mind immediately. Watching the game, both of them were losses, both of them were on the road. Watching the frustration of the Alabama receivers against Tennessee, how open they got against Tennessee's secondary, and how Jalen Milroe airmailed so many passes.
Yep.
And then the same thing for the Oklahoma game. Jeremy Bernard was just absolutely beside himself. How many times that he was open and how many times that he was able to break free. I think they only hit him once on a big pass down the middle of the field there in Norman. It was just those two games in particular. Well, yesterday on KJR Radio there in Seattle, Washington, Kalin DeBoer was a guest on the radio program, and he was asked about that particular question, if there would have been mass exodus if Jalen Milroe would have come back for his senior season.
Well, I mean, I think I heard that same quote, and I think the word all was used. And so whenever absolutes are used like that, I kind of question it right there. Like the words never and always, and all. I mean, I think that's a little far-fetched. I don't think we would have lost all of our receivers for anything. But I will also say that there were guys that left. We had 6 receivers transfer out just on this last year's team already, and there's reasons for that, So who you're hearing that from or what's happening, I don't know. That's really not a concern of mine. And I know that Jalen is a guy that really works hard to unite people. And so from a personality standpoint, I don't really question that. Yeah, I think when you're talking absolutes like that, it's a little far-fetched to say. I guess not really a concern of mine right now.
There you go. That was his thoughts on whether there would have been mass exodus at Alabama if Jalen Milroe would have come back.
Notice he didn't deny any of that.
Well, he also mentioned the 6 wide receivers that left in the portal. And now some of those, granted, they were already predetermined. Like Isaiah Bond was leaving, So, I just.
Maybe Jalen Milroe was the one-off with Alabama quarterbacks because it has been an embarrassment of riches at that position for that particular program.
It certainly has. But I think just hearing him go straight to the personality, well, Jalen's a guy that unites people. Nothing about his performance on the field wanting people to play around him. It's just, he's a good guy in the locker room.
Well,
okay.
All right, so let's listen to what this next question. We include this question on this clip because wanted to put it in full context. Take a listen to this Seattle radio host and what he had to say about Jalen Milroe and the response from Kalin DeBoer.
Look, man, I'll be honest with you. Some of the games I watched last year, I saw a guy that really struggled with accuracy, especially in the short and intermediate routes. Some of the Oklahoma game stands out. So 2 things that an NFL quarterback has got to have is accuracy and anticipation. Tell me about why you think he struggled late down the stretch last year and how much of that at this level you think can be fixed.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that he can work on to improve. Really there was the 3 games. You mentioned 2 of them. 3 of those games were the ones we lost. You can point to things in each of those games that I guess you could justify, but I think in the end, it's like you said, there's areas where he can continue to improve. And, I think again, that perspective, and maybe even some things where, a pro-style offense, adding that to his game where, we put him in the gun a lot and wanted him to always be a threat, whether he was keeping it or, the threat of keeping it in a lot of the read game. And, we had just a couple of receivers that were consistent, week in and week out for him. And sometimes those guys maybe were in and out of practices, especially as the season went on. So there's a lot of things, again, that I can say justify, but in the end, he knows he just needs to continue to improve, and he's the guy that's up to the challenge.
Wow, interesting comments from Kalin DeBoer. Kind of a word salad there by Kalin DeBoer in regards to what Jalen Milroe. He almost slipped up. He almost slipped up. He almost said that these are the things he needs to improve on, but instead he stopped himself. Very interesting comments. So we'd love to hear from you. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line, 205-834-9450. Would there have been a mass exodus if Jalen Milroe had come back? Did Alabama fans want him to come back for a senior season? And our text line is brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. I tell you about these guys every single day. I go by there at least once a week, and the inventory will just knock your socks off. Whether you're in the market for a Yukon, an Acadia — I drive the AT4 Acadia, a wonderful smaller crossover vehicle, a Terrain — my parents own a GMC Terrain. If you're in the trucks, you like the Sierra 1500, how about the Canyon? They've got a model for you no matter what your lifestyle is. And their pre-owned inventory is the deepest you're going to find anywhere in central Alabama. So get by and see them in person right off of I-459, exit 32 in Trustful, or you can visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com, and they encourage you to do that because they want you to click on those vehicles. They want you to see the deals that they have currently, and they want you to compare because they're not going to be beat on any of the prices. You don't need to drive anywhere except Trustful. That's where you need to buy your next GMC vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle because Drew Lally, Josh Gargis, the outstanding team, they're at Courtesy GMC's ready to help you. That's Courtesy GMC and Trustful right off of I-459.
Ain't no party like a taco party. Doors open 12 minutes from right now. Taco Tuesday live from Social Taco, 3-man front and Jocks 94.5.
It's 10:51, Jocks 94.5. Welcome back to Social Taco. Folks are starting to come on upstairs to the Taco Terrace. You can join us right here at Social Taco. We'll be here until 2 o'clock. You know, water can find its way into any crawl space, bringing dangerous mold, mildew, and wood rot. But APS can protect your home's foundation, provide valuable storage space as well. The APS crawl space encapsulation system, it can stop the water, keep the pests out, while lowering your energy costs today. The engineers at APS, they can design a custom solution for your home. Crawl space problems will not get better over time. They get better when you call 205-951-9717. Start protecting your home today with APS. Established in 1977 to solve the most challenging issues around your home. Number again, 205-951-9717, or visit their website at alabamaprofessional.com. Let's go to the phones, 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's talk to Chris. Chris, good morning. Hope you're well.
I was fine until this Josh Twitter poll came out once again, showing that the Bama fan base has become just so entitled and so elitist that they can't stop to smell the roses and just want to throw every player that had a down year after the prior year. They had a Heisman hype year. And they had them saying Link, and now it's all thank God he's gone. The switch up is crazy.
All right, so let me ask you this. You being an Alabama fan, do you think if Jalen Milroe would have announced that he was coming back, that Ryan Williams would be a part of that football team?
I still think so, but despite if there's numerous factors contribute to it that we just keep just overlooking and just don't give a crap about, because NIL and coaches leaving and stuff happen. That coaches NIL nowadays NIL transfer portal and coaches sustainment keeps teams and chemistry together, whether we like to admit it or not. The point of a football team, not a player, is it takes a team to win the game, not just main players. And you stop and think about it for a second. How can you have an effective, cohesive unit if the majority of what you have is gone? So the thing about I always preach about the standard, right? You all talk about the standard. The standard has to change because these are the factors that fix that can screw the standard. And if you have an issue with that, you really should look at how they pretty much have gutted the programs, the top tier programs with the NIL and transfer portal type deal, and coaches leaving. We just keep glossing past that and not actually thinking about it for a second. Imagine if we had the BCS era and then in the Saban era, and Saban doesn't even leave. How would we look now compared to how we look now?
Are you asking me if they won a national championship and Saban was there, how many that he'd be able to hold on to? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah, I'm saying what I'm asking is if we didn't have the transfer portal NIL deal type deal, right, and then players and coaches wouldn't leave and just have to drop or dive, would we have the same standard that we have in the Saban era, or we have the standard that we have now, in which the Saban era was just straight up dominance, but the dominance that it had is now being undercut by what we have in this. But the overall, I guess, look of college football has become, right?
Right.
So,
hey, Chris, thank you. Your phone keeps cutting in and out. Appreciate the phone call as always. I think the way I was trying to understand what he was trying to say, it was kind of difficult because of the phone. But was he asking, would Alabama continue to have the dominance that they had prior to NIL transfer portal?
Yeah, I think that's what he was saying. Would it be the same as it was, 10 years ago now, essentially, where they just have the best talent and they win every year?
Yeah, well, NIL has definitely changed things for Alabama. It's changed things for Georgia. And there's some truth to what he said about having that cohesion in that team, whether you're at Alabama, whether you're at a non-power 4, that's going on everywhere. And the coaches that can actually form that cohesion, or player-led teams that demand that cohesion and accountability, those are the ones that are going to have the most success. But from a lot of what I've seen, you got a lot of mercenaries, a bunch of hired guns, and just as soon as they get to campus, they're already looking for their next deal and sometimes negotiating it with another school in the middle of the season. It's the world we live in. We don't have to like it, but you better know it's going on.
We are live at Social Taco. We'll continue this conversation with you next hour. Also, Jonathan Nelson will go to Oklahoma as well. Got a preview of the Sooners for 2025. All that straight ahead. This is Three Man Front live from Social Taco. It is 11 o'clock. Welcome back. We're at Social Taco. Doors have opened up, and look at the terrace. The terrace is filling up as we speak.
Yep, we got a new guest who is joining us. She's clad in her scripted Alabama A.
I believe that's Mary.
That's Mary.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who this gentleman is.
We need to find out. I don't know what the mayor's doing.
What is he doing?
I have no idea.
He knows Mary. He needs to go and greet our other guest. Hey, Gringo.
Gringo. Hello. Does anybody hear us?
We're trying to coordinate. Don's run his mouth, so he can't hear you.
Yeah, let's.
Don. Who is that over there?
What are you doing?
Yeah, you need to go meet him.
I mean,
yeah.
seriously.
Seriously. He's been sitting there for 5 minutes. He hadn't been greeted.
Yeah.
Get the Talladega out of you and get over there. He was trying to catch up.
Just because he saved Kaylee's life over the weekend.
His inflatable girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
He told us during the break he just couldn't do it. He got all emotional.
Couldn't let her go.
He could not let her down the lazy river or the sewer river or whatever it was behind the Talladega speed track.
I don't want to know anymore.
I don't know.
It was very heartfelt.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think Don Don's trying to get our new Loyal Jocks listener to.
What if the guy was like, "Get away from my table. This is why I sat over here. I'm trying to stay away from you." The guy might not even know what we're doing here.
He's like,
who knows?
He's like, you know what? I don't need to sit all the way down there by you because I can hear everything you say 50 yards away.
Oh, fun times. How about our friends at Stark Exterminators? It is a fun time when you can spend time outside in your yard, but unfortunately, with the warm weather, that means stinging insects, the ones that bite, the ones that itch after they bite, roaches, ants, termites, all of that can be eliminated with our friends at Stark Exterminators. Family-owned for over 61 years. Wonderful folks. They'll come to your home or your place of business, perform a free pest inspection, and come up with a customized detailed plan like they did for us. Call 855-STARK now or go to starkexterminators.com. They're going to take care of you. Your satisfaction as a customer is absolutely guaranteed. Stark Exterminators, 855-STARK now or visit starkexterminators.com. Set up the free pest inspections today. And as always, tell them Landrum from Jocks 94.5 sent you.
All right, so you just heard Chris at the end of last hour. We're talking about this anonymous source that told 247 Sports that if Jalen Milroe had returned to Alabama for his senior season, the Tide would have experienced a significant exodus of wide receivers and specialty players. That's what this anonymous source told 247 Sports. So we asked our audience the Twitter poll question of the day. And since we brought it up, you know, besides the fact that Chris was kind of offended by the poll question because he thinks that everyone was throwing Jalen Milroe under the bus after a good season the year before, it has gone up, Landrum. The percentage has gone up 1 percentage point. 71% now of our audience says that, yes, there would have been mass exodus if Milroe would have come back. I'm just telling you what, you know, I've covered Alabama for quite a while, and for the life of me, it's pretty fascinating because for someone that had the success that Jalen Milroe had at Alabama, he's a polarizing figure. And it would be very interesting to see how the history books and how he will go down in Alabama football history. Like, what will people think of him? Will they think of it as the good times or frustrating times or did not live up to the expectations? Like, what is Jalen Milroe in the eyes of the Alabama football
I want to know,
fan?
was there one particular game that Alabama fans just cannot forget? Or can you not forget because in that one particular game you saw repeated mistakes thereafter that he never got corrected in his game?
I would just say, I think for me, something that was difficult in hindsight, I guess, is I was there at the Texas game a couple of years ago, which was, I guess, his first big start for Alabama, right? And watching the mistakes and the things that went wrong in that game, and it was like, okay, this is rough, but he's young, he's going to learn. And then to be at the Oklahoma game last year, 2.5 years apart, right? Year and a half apart, whatever it was, and to see those same mistakes being made in that situation against an Oklahoma team, the same type of throws, the same type of bad reads. That was the hardest part for me was, man, I remember watching this guy with my own two eyes at the very beginning and now at the very end, essentially, of his time at Alabama, and he was making the exact same mistakes. That was the frustrating part.
Well, I mean, listen, when he came in for an injured Bryce Young against Arkansas, and he did what he did.
80-yard touchdown run or whatever, yeah.
And then what happened the very next week when you're playing Texas A&M, and he literally single-handedly almost handed that game to Texas A&M.
Oh, I was at that game as well.
Yeah. Like time after time, turnover after turnover. But then you would have the SEC championship game against Georgia, you know. And listen, I'm not going to throw him under the bus against Michigan because Seth McLaughlin, he had the yips the whole year snapping. And I noticed where Seth McLaughlin did not get drafted in the NFL draft, which surprised a lot of Ohio State people. I know Seth was injured there towards the back end of the season. But I'm not going to put that all on him in the Rose Bowl on that bad snap because he had bad snaps, all year long. But there were times, the people that I talked to in Tuscaloosa, that it was absolutely just completely frustrating to the fact of what Conrad just said. There was not that improvement. Like, learn from your mistakes. Do not do this again. I had reports from practice where Nick Saban lost his ever-loving mind that year, his final year in Tuscaloosa, because Jalen Milroe continued to do the same thing over and over and over again, and he would not correct it.
Would it be fair to say that Jalen Milroe was, not always, but now let me put it another way. Did you just never know, Conrad, as an Alabama fan, what Jalen Milroe you were going to get? Or did you have a pretty good idea based on opponent?
Well, I mean, I guess there was a little bit of it, but I think that's also, that's another part of the frustration was there were times where you felt like you knew what you were going to get from Jalen Milroe, right? Like, for example, this past season, halfway through the Georgia game, even after the Georgia game, really in totality, you watched what he had done up to that point in the season and stringing together these consistent performances. And I genuinely believed, okay, we have turned a corner. Like, we are getting to see the best version of Jalen Milroe before our very own eyes, and then just to see that completely evaporate. That was the part, was there were times where you thought, okay, we're good now. He seems to have figured things out, and then he would revert right back to a lot of the issues that he had shown earlier on in his career. And for whatever reason, it just seemed like it was significantly worse this year than it was at times his first year as the starter. So.
Very interesting. We'd love to hear from you. 205-834-9450 on the Courtesy GMC text line. You can go vote on our Twitter poll question of the day at the number 3-man front on Twitter. And as always, we welcome your calls at 1-800-239-WJOX.
Yeah, the text line right now in reference to what we're talking about with Jalen Milroe. This one coming from a Bama fan saying the game that made me lose all confidence in Milroe was Oklahoma. The Bush League slide tackle was too much for me to handle. Conrad, remember that?
Conrad was probably already
Unfortunately.
gone. What time did you leave the game?
Pat, I stayed until there were maybe 2 minutes left in the – I mean, I stayed essentially the entire game.
Good, might as well if you rode out there, 13, 14 hours?
Yep, exactly.
Kyle from the state of Tennessee says the games that stick out the most to me for Jalen Milroe are the OK game and the LSU games. Contrasting games, the highlight his weaknesses and his strengths. That's good text.
I know he threw a pick six against Vanderbilt, but to me, the defense was the most disappointing thing in that game.
Yeah,
he played well in that game.
There was no adjustments made. Every time Alabama had an opportunity to basically get a stop and get the ball back, because you always felt like in that game that Alabama, once they took the lead against Vanderbilt, it was over. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the defense could not get a stop, period. And that's credit to Diego Pavia and, of course, the rest of the Vandy Commodores.
Yeah, but no reason that defense as talented as they were give up that much. They didn't show up for that one.
You scored 35 points against Vanderbilt. You should win 100 times out of 100 times.
Yeah.
Jamie texts in and he says, I couldn't forgive the Texas game, Texas A&M as well. Thank you, Jamie. Not tackling on the Oklahoma pick six, says this listener. Game was in doubt at that point, was in doubt at that point, was only a 10-0 early second half or second.
Yeah, second half. It was right after
it conked
halftime.
out on me.
Yeah.
Michael says, Iron Bowl of the Gravedigger play. He crossed the line of scrimmage several times on throws. The throw before the Gravedigger, he threw the ball right to a covered wide receiver, lucky not to get intercepted in the other plays during that Iron Bowl.
That was an excellent point. That was one of those games where you started to go, what happened to this guy? Because he was making mistakes he hadn't made up to that point in the season. But then, of course, you went and beat Georgia, and everybody kind of forgot about it. But that's a good point by that texter.
It seems like every time he threw an interception early, things just went downhill from there.
Yeah, I remember me and Pat talking about that at times during the season where he was definitely, you could tell pretty early on, if he was in a rhythm, it was going to be a good day. And if that first drive didn't go well, typically for Alabama, he did not have a very good day.
I mean, listen, I thought he played incredibly well at Wisconsin. I mean, there were games last year that you said, okay, all right. This guy was, sixth in the Heisman Trophy voting the year before? Okay, he's kind of living up to that.
Do we agree that he has all the tools, though, as a quarterback, right? Physically, he has all the tools, so it would be between the ears, right?
I also think that there's something about those intermediary throws, you know what I'm talking about? that he just does not do well. And Shedeur Sanders doesn't do that well.
No, that's the knock on Shedeur is the accuracy and the ball comes out wobbly.
I was about to say, I think Milroe's thing has been a lot of footwork stuff that people have critiqued him on. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you, Langem. I think a lot of it is mental.
What was the was it the Oklahoma game that the viral video went out basically
of how his feet were set up and that told you whether it was going to be a run or a pass play?
Yep.
Yep. I can't remember if it was Oklahoma, but
I think it was Oklahoma.
yeah, I think you're right.
So you're sitting there going,
Feels like a lot of stuff happened during that Oklahoma game.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like if you have a situation where if you've got internet sleuths that is able to kind of break down when Jalen Milroe is going to throw a run, don't you think that a defensive coordinator in the SEC is going to be like, oh yeah, we got this down?
Yeah, they picked that up pretty quick.
That's not a problem.
This one reads, we never knew which Milroe we were going to get. When he played great, he played super, but when he played bad, he was horrible. The second half of the Tennessee and the next game against LSU and the Gravedigger doesn't get any better. Josh throwing this one in there. Yeah. Sorry, I went too quick there. Not sure if this is pertaining. Nope. Not reading that one. All right. He is polarizing, Pat.
There's no doubt about it.
Last Michigan game, yep. We've seen that comment. And Jerry from Hayden, Conrad's buddy, says, in my opinion, NIL Rowe could have left after the Vanderbilt game. He scored a touchdown and started dancing. We were still behind in the game. If the bonehead had any guts, he would have benched his dancing butt. I'm glad he is gone. And if I never hear Lank again, it will be great. He was not a team player. He showed that when he would sit and pout by himself on the bench. RTR, the number 4, life, exclamation, all caps. Thank you, Jerry.
There you go.
I will say another thing for him that I think rubbed some people the wrong way, and I know kind of caught me off guard, but after the Gravedigger play, when he's going around on the field, give me my Heisman, like screaming, give me the Heisman, stuff like that after the way that game played out. I think that was a moment where some people kind of went, okay, I think maybe this is going to your head a little bit here.
Our buddy Robert from Greenville says, I think the best thing that Alabama fans can do is forget about Milroe, wish him well in Seattle, and get behind Ty Simpson this season.
Yes,
well, Robert, that would be
you.
easy, but we're going to continue to bring up his name.
Absolutely.
I like that answer, though, Robert.
We
I like
do.
it.
That's
good.
right.
Get behind the next guy.
All right, we're going to continue to take your texts. We've got calls pouring in right now about Jalen Milroe, and we will get to those calls next. We're live at Social Taco. Come on by and see us. This is Jocks 94.5. It's 11:18. Jocks 94.5. What a great song. Don't forget about Jalen Milroe.
I'll never forget you, Jalen.
I mean, you can't forget about him because he's put his hands and feet prints,
Gets
right?
boring when you're great every weekend.
At
It
Brian
keeps
Denny.
us on our toes.
Denny Chimes, I mean.
And it's very entertaining. It was very entertaining to get the backlash from Alabama fans on Monday. Well, a lot of times on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
Friday.
There was always something to talk about when Jalen Milroe played.
There's no doubt
It was
about
never
it.
ho-hum.
All right, let's go to the phones, 1-800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Justin in Birmingham. Has a comment about our poll question today in regards to a mass exodus if Jalen Milroe came back.
Hey guys, hope y'all doing well today. I wanted to just say, that's a good toss-up with that one about everybody leaving, man. Because I know he had, built the chemistry with the team and stuff, and everybody was complaining about him last year. But honestly, he was the best thing we had, for our starter. He was the best thing we could go with, and I think Saban showed the same thing the year before that. And I like the kid. He's a good kid. He's always smiling, happy, uplifting and stuff. And I know y'all were saying earlier about him sitting on the sideline by himself. I think about it, man. He got 1 million Facebook posts dogging him out every Saturday. Once he throw one interception, he mess up one play. And then you got the people in the fan. They don't tell them what they saying on the sidelines, that we don't hear. So yeah. I can understand that, man. He got to fix that body language, of course. But I do agree with y'all saying he got some mechanics and everything. He's just between the ears. Yes, he does have to work on that. But I also want to say this. When we had a good coordinator, just like we had Lane Kiffin them, and when we had, what is one name is? Blake Sims.
Yeah.
How do we have a season like we had? Blake don't have none of the mechanics that Milroe had. But look at the season we had with Blake. When you got a good offensive coordinator that know their quarterback and can make plays and stuff, a playbook just for that quarterback, you'll be successful. Now, the offensive coordinator we had last year, I wasn't a fan of him at all. Maybe this guy that we got this year that came back with Washington, with DeBoer, maybe he's going to be better. But that guy last year, I didn't like a lot of the play call he called. I felt like some of the plays he was just playing backyard football. Hiking the Milroe, he go left or go right. It was so predictable. But then everybody got on Milroe's back. And then with the defense, like you said, against Vanderbilt, he played a decent game. But at the same time, the defense wasn't doing their job. So, Vanderbilt ain't scoring the offense. They scored on our defense. And nothing I can say about backing him up is we did not give him a lot of time on the offensive line. Now, he's going to need an extra second or two because, like you said earlier, between the ears just ain't there yet. But I just don't want to completely dog him. And like I said, he was the best thing that we had put on the field at the moment with the skill set that he had. And that's all I want to say about the situation. And I wish the guy good luck. I don't want to dog him or anything, and I think he'll do fantastic, with different packages and stuff in the NFL because once he gets around those tackles, there's no catching Milroe. He's gone. Y'all have a good day, man. I'll talk to you guys
Thank you,
later.
Justin. Hey, thank you for the phone call. And I will agree with Justin 100% on this. I thought Nick Sheridan and his calls last year, they were very pedestrian. I did not see – I thought Tommy Reese did a better job than Nick Sheridan did last year.
Yeah, but if you've got a guy that you feel like is having trouble processing and there's certain things, are you not trying to simplify? Because he mentioned Blake Sims, and yes, Blake Sims, he absolutely got it done, but we've heard that things were simplified for him. So sometimes it's about personnel, and it depends on what you're trying to run schematically on offense and the best way to convey that.
And it was Sheridan's, again, not saying this is fair to him necessarily, but it was his first time ever being an offensive coordinator. That's a pretty difficult situation to be in your first time ever running an offense like that.
But you know what? I don't have any crocodile tears for somebody like that because
No.
you have an opportunity, and this is big boy football. This is Southeastern Conference. This is the University of Alabama. I mean, this isn't like let's go down to the Arena Football League 2 and try to, get your teeth and be an offensive coordinator. This is Alabama. This is not
he should have never been put in that position.
And I also think it's only fair that, yes, all things created equal, it's a transfer portal now for everybody. But if we're going to compare him to former quarterbacks that had success at Alabama, ultimately won a national championship, let's look at the surrounding cast that quarterback had on the offensive line at the depth at running back, what they were running, and then also remember that everybody else didn't have those type of players and were not as top-loaded with talent as we get now with the I'm not going to say the evening of the playing field, but it's more competitive for everybody because they have NIL and they're able to attract some of those top-tier players. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. Let's go to Tony next. Wants to talk Jalen Milroe here on Jocks 94.5 3-man front. Hey, Tony.
Hey, good morning, guys. Just a couple of things. One, I think if a cop-out and an easy thing to do is blame Jalen Milroe for the season we had last year. And was he polarizing? For some people, yes. For me, not so much. And I keep hearing people bring up the Oklahoma game. That game is on the defense. You had an Oklahoma team who threw the ball for 65 yards, who said we can't do nothing but run it, and ran for almost 300.
Great
and
point.
We never made it.
Yep, great point.
People need to also understand this is not the talented Alabama team that we've seen in past years.
Yep.
There was very limited skills, position, talent around him, and even less on the offensive line. And did he make mental mistakes? Absolutely. But how much of that is coaching? If we're going to give coaches success and praise for doing a great job, we've also got to understand, if this is all you've got and you can't coach him up, what is that saying about what you've got put on your roster? Let's not blame this kid. This kid gave his heart. This was a good kid who represented the program well, did everything a kid going to college is supposed to do, got his degree, got his master's degree, who did it the right way, didn't have the success on the field as a team that it should have been. But I got news for you. Bryce Young didn't win a national championship either.
Good point.
Yep.
So let's stop blaming this kid and want to kill this kid. And for that anonymous source, I hate that, because if you're man enough to put your name, to want to talk about somebody, be man enough to put your name on it.
Good point.
Quit hiding behind that anonymous source.
Thank you for the call. Appreciate it very much.
Tony.
Thank you. Can't disagree with anything you
No, and it kind of goes back to this. That was not the most talented roster that Alabama's had.
But
I'm just looking at the depth chart from when Blake Sims played. Pretty ridiculous.
But based on the preseason 247 roster breakdowns, Alabama had the most talent of any college football team last year going into the season. That's a fact. Now, you can debate whether there are numbers and how they came to that conclusion. That could be debated.
Who deserves more blame? Jalen Milroe, Kalin DeBoer.
Well, listen, we just brought up a couple times.
Can we blame Nick Saban, Landrum, since he retired?
Yeah, first and foremost. I blame him every day.
The defense did not get the stops when they needed to have. I mean, when everyone in the stadium knew that Oklahoma was going to run the ball,
yeah,
and they couldn't stop them. When you knew that Diego Pavia was going to do something goofy and you couldn't stop him, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you had an opportunity, especially in the first half, with the number of times that they had Tennessee up against the wall, but then the second half, the defense kind of folded up a little bit and let Nico earn a couple $1 million, doing what he did in the second half. But our Twitter poll question of the day, we quote that anonymous source saying that there would be a significant exodus of skill players if Jalen Milroe would have come back. Do you believe that would have happened? And right now, right at 71% of our audience says yes, that would happen. No at 29%. It's a ridiculous claim. So
I think you would have had some, but I don't think mass exodus. I think people talk a good game, but people are comfortable where they are.
And then I want someone to define what mass exodus means, because I think most Alabama fans would say, okay, if you're saying Ryan Williams would not be there, to me, that would be a mass exodus, because
are we talking Marshall after Charles Huff took the Southern Miss job?
Yeah, or are we talking about, because there's, you could say that there's 15 guys leaving Alabama, but of those 15 guys, were they contributors, or were they just depth depth players. Guys that are 2, 3, or 4 on the depth chart.
When Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, it was not just a wide receiver or two. That was a mass.
That
exodus.
was a mass exodus.
That was all 22 plus some.
Molly has made her way to the big table here.
Hey, Molly.
Hey, guys.
How you doing?
How are you?
I'm good.
Molly was stopping, signing some autographs as she was coming in a couple minutes ago.
Did you
Someone
sign them
was
in
very
cursive?
generous, too, and gave me their parking spot as well.
That was nice.
Oh, really?
Last week you got a jersey. This week you got a parking space.
I sure did. I'll take
I
it.
saw Officer Walt out there earlier.
Did he tase you?
No, he didn't. I'm okay.
No, Walt's got her back.
Yeah.
He takes care of
That's
her on
right.
Friday night.
That's
That's
my
right.
buddy. Yeah.
You're on the broadcast.
We're trying to
Call my other buddy.
We're trying to work out security for Molly and Tupelo coming up
Yes.
in a couple weeks.
I have a police escort as well.
Dang. Can I be in your car?
Sure.
Can I be in that car?
Yeah.
Are y'all going to do the Elvis Museum before you go and play the jamboree
we got
game?
2 spots. We're going to my birthplace. That's the first stop.
The actual hospital?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the actual.
You said
little-
you were born in a shotgun house.
No, that was Elvis.
Okay.
Elvis was born in a shotgun
I get you
house.
two confused.
Well, that's
They're easy
easily
to
done.
confuse, yeah.
I told you we are related.
How did that go again?
It's on my mom's side. It is.
It's got to be on her side or your dad's side.
Well, no, I meant it's my mom's side of the family.
How far?
I'll show it to you. I'll
Okay.
pull it up on the Ancestry and show you.
Did you submit your saliva to figure this out?
Heck no.
Okay.
Heck no. No.
Yeah, we're on the same page with that one.
No.
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 No, I don't care how good you are at it. You're not getting my stuff.
No, sir.
No. I have watched too many things.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Landrum has never been to Alaska, but all of a sudden
But
there's
they're pinning 7 murders on him.
Yeah, there's a cold case there in the wonderful city of Anchorage, and Landrum's DNA is there. Doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
How did that happen?
How did it happen?
All right, more 3-man front coming up in 15 minutes. Jonathan Nelson from Birmingham Barons. Also, Tyler McComas will join us from Oklahoma. We've talked a lot about Oklahoma, and we've got plenty of text messages we'll get to as well. This is 3-man front on Jocks 94.5.
11:34. We continue here on Three Man Front. Got a lot of text on the text line in response to our Twitter poll question of the day. A lot of discussion centered around not only next season, what Alabama fans, what other SEC fans can expect for college football in 2025, but also remembering one Jalen Milroe, who was selected by the Seattle Seahawks just this past weekend. How about our friends at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill? It's an upscale sports bar experience. Open Wednesday lunch. That's tomorrow for lunch all the way through Sunday night. You can enjoy a great menu, the 283-inch projector screen, but all the video boards, all the screens you're going to find there. But the wonderful menu, anything from chairables, the handhelds, a great cocktail menu, and they have them to pay homage not only to UAB but also to Alabama, Auburn, and other teams around the SEC. From the handcrafted cocktails, you go to the fork and knife. They have some wonderful dishes. Everything is fresh, and it is made to order. It's our friends at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill, 1630 2nd Avenue South. Check them out for lunch tomorrow. Check them out for dinner. And you can call ahead, and the parking is always free. We appreciate our friends at Rambler Sports Bar and Grill.
So, again, recapping our poll question, which now it's down a little bit. More people have said that there would not be mass exodus. So it's kind of fluctuating a little bit, but still 70% of our audience still believe that that's a situation in which, Milroe would have come back.
Here's a question. Does Ty Simpson stick around if Jalen Milroe comes back for another year? Because if there's anybody who would seem like he is a lifer, it has seemed like it was Ty Simpson. He was determined that he was going to finish his career at Alabama.
Well, he's going to get his opportunity.
Yeah. Should have a great opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very much so.
Keep the text rolling in, 205-834-9450. This one rolls in. Bama scored 3 points in that Oklahoma game. Pat said, great point. It's on the defense. I don't remember the context of the conversation.
You were talking about the Vanderbilt game in relation to the defense, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I was saying that every time that they needed a third down stop, at Vandy, they didn't get it.
Jason, this one rolling in from Huntsville. Thanks for listening on the ump. Can't blame coaching on a kid that had two coaches that have more playoff experience than 90% of all NCAA coaches. I would contradict that last caller because we did have a lot of talent on the team at Alabama last year. I would say that they were maybe underutilized, i.e. low touches, yard numbers from the running backs. I would say that in the Oklahoma game, it was the offense with 3 points to show. I would agree that at Vanderbilt, it was the defense allowing them to score 40. Austin says these sympathizers of Milroe need to refresh their memory. Plenty of times to score. 3 interceptions, keeping the ball instead of handing it off on the read option. The read is telling you to hand it off. And why aren't you playing hero ball in his head the entire game? He did this multiple times, including the Rose Bowl. This last bowl game, UT, and the topper, 4 flopping on the pick 6 versus OU because he wanted to protect his body. 4 causing problems in the locker room after the Texas game and getting benched. And just a pee-poor attitude. Austin with a lot to say there in that text.
I just want to remind everybody that in the last 6 games of this last regular season, Jalen Milroe had 3 passing touchdowns and 6 interceptions in the last 6 games. He averaged half a touchdown pass a game and 1 interception per game. Just throwing that out there. And that includes the LSU game where he didn't really have to do anything with his arm because he was just running all over them. But
Conrad, can you look up, just for giggles, Peyton Thorne's last 6 games and what his stats were? I'm curious.
Give me 1 second.
Okay. Antoine texts in. He says, at the end of the day, the team has to execute. Milroe couldn't make the intermediate throws or make the correct reads 2 seasons in a row. That's not on the coaches. If Sheridan seemed pedestrian, it's because Milroe was too inconsistent. Just my opinion, RTR.
Okay, so the last 6 games of this past season for Auburn, Peyton Thorne had 11 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions.
All right, but if you go,
Granted,
okay,
one of those was the ULM game where he had
the
5
ULM game.
touchdowns.
Yeah. But if you take that game out of the equation, he still had 6 and what?
He had 6 interceptions or 6 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. So he had twice as many touchdown passes and half the number of interceptions that Milroe had.
This one rolls in. I'm convinced Jalen Milroe made Saban retire and can't read coverage. Woo. These are getting better. These are great.
That's a good one.
Please just keep sending these in, you fine folks. Peyton Thorne had more passing yards than Jalen, and then after you read that, Conrad, see what I'm saying? Jalen trash. Wow. The Zebras took the okay game from us when they called back the Ryan Williams touchdown.
Here's a fun question. Who had more 300-yard passing games last year, Jalen Milroe or Peyton Thorne?
Well, based on the line of questioning, I would think that would probably be Peyton Thorne.
Correct, Pat. I set you up nicely for that one. Peyton Thorne had 4. Jalen Milroe had 2.
How many of those Peyton Thorne games were against Power 4 opponents?
The Oklahoma game and Oklahoma, A&M, and Alabama. He had over 300 yards passing in all 3 of those games.
Goodness gracious. That's shame on you, Hugh Freeze. Now we're just going to turn it on Hugh.
Milroe did it against Georgia and
now
Vanderbilt.
Auburn fans going to get riled up. Wait a minute. What? There's a lot there. We're going to get to all of these. Some of these, there's just a lot to unpack. Do you think Milroe will make the 53-man roster in Seattle? I do.
Yes.
What about you?
Yes.
Yep.
Jalen Milroe will play for the Seahawks this year, not as a starter, but he will have a package. He will be on the field.
Al says if only Bryce Young's mind and maturity could have been transplanted into Milroe's body.
Oh, God, that would have been awesome. That would have been awesome.
Yes, this is true. I can't forget the LSU game when he was on fire. He got up for that LSU game, didn't he?
He did. Both years.
He's still running.
Both years. If he played LSU every week, Jalen Milroe would be the best college quarterback of all time.
If Milroe was so bad, what does that say about recruiting the last few years? Nobody could beat him out.
And I do think that's part of the frustration that people had was maybe not so much with Milroe, but the fact that he was your best option, and I think that carried over this year into some of the people that aren't thrilled about Ty Simpson. It's, man, this guy couldn't even beat out Milroe, so why should we be optimistic that we're going to be better with him?
What was more telling about Jalen Milroe? This from Jason. The line running down the helmet that told everyone in the stadium where he was throwing the ball, or the limited play calling that was exposed in 2023?
What is he talking about with the line?
He's talking about, the stripe on his helmet, like staring guys down. That's what I'm guessing. I don't know.
I guess that was a joke. I don't know. Sorry, that one went over my head.
Mine too.
Is Don getting riled up about the Peyton Thorne stats?
He is. No. He is getting riled up because BB has showed up and she is ready for the Kentucky Derby. She has got a very decorative, flamboyant Derby hat on.
Yes.
A very nice dress. Dang, BB. We have theme Tuesdays now.
She said that's what she was going to do.
Bobby going off script here and says, "Hey Pat, your Huskies going to take home the blue map?"
Which sport? This is talking about.
Are you guys in baseball?
Playing Bob Jones this week in the playoffs.
Okay.
And
is
softball.
That a team that could win the title?
Baseball?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Okay.
I was about to say they were nationally ranked at one point. I don't know if they still are.
Softball made regionals.
Good for them.
So yeah. Good spring.
Joseph says, "Why is Damian yelling in the background? He's so loud." It's not Damian.
No, that would be Don Don.
I guess that's part of the joke, Joseph.
Oh, yeah. Damian's gonna love that, knowing that someone got him mixed up with Don Don.
Oh, I got one better. Tell him they got mixed up with Chris.
All right, we will continue with your text messages, your phone calls as well. Jonathan Nelson, the general manager of the Birmingham Barons, will join us next here on Three Man Front. Oh, it's beautiful weather outside, which means the Birmingham Barons going to be in store for a great homestand. Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, General Manager of the Birmingham Barons, Jonathan Nelson. Nelly, I hope you're doing well today, and no rain dance today, right?
No rain dance, doing great today. You know, we begin another 6-game homestand today. It's a unique game time. Tonight's game time is 6 o'clock. With an 11 a.m. game, you have to do that for Major League Baseball. But, yeah, another great homestand, action-packed with a number of promotions. The weather's going to cooperate for the most part. Obviously, we'll have to navigate through Thursday and Friday. But we got some great stuff coming up, and just always great to be with you. One of these days, I'm going to join you guys over at Social Taco and, just hang out and visit with everybody. But anyway, just, looking forward to starting this homestand, our third homestand of the season.
Let's talk about this team so far, 11-9 out of the gate. On the field product right now, everybody seemed pretty happy with the things we're going, especially the rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're still in first place by one game, and we're playing the division with the other first place team, Pensacola, the 6-game series. So, where we are right now, we've talked about it so many times, whether it be last year or this year, is that, we're still very fortunate to accommodate, some of the biggest and brightest prospects for the White Sox. And, sort of no shortage here. And you're seeing a lot of the guys who did great for us last year en route to a Southern League championship in 2024, excel in Charlotte, AAA for the White Sox, and also making it up to the big leagues as well. I mean, Tim Elko, obviously he had a great career at Ole Miss, being the captain of that national championship team, and was with us parts of 23 and then most of last season as well. He's tearing up AAA, so it's a matter of time before he pushes his way up to the south side of Chicago. So really excited to see that. I know this year's team, even though it's a very modest, we're early in the season, by first place by one game, I feel very confident and comfortable that this team is going to continue to find its stride and improve, and because there's other prospects below us in Class A that in due time is going to be in Birmingham.
We had somebody up here that asked us, Nelly, with the Barons, with that squad from last year, with some of the promising prospects, why does it sometimes not translate to the major league level?
Well, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for adjustment, obviously. I mean, there's always going to be that learning curve. And you're starting to see, like Brooks Baldwin last year, he was called up, immediately after the July 3rd game here at Regents Field up to Charlotte, and then spent a little time up there and then up to the big leagues pretty much the rest of the season. And he's been up there all season. He's starting to hit his stride, and, they're trying to find a position for him as well. He played shortstop primarily here, but he plays a variety of positions, short, second, third, and outfield. He's pretty much played nearly all positions in Chicago except for pitching and catching, of course. But pretty impressive to see what he has done and what a lot of other our players are doing too to get up to the Chicago.
All right, so let's talk about some of these promotions. As always, you have Thirsty Thursdays, always a fan favorite. You got Fireworks Friday. But this weekend, you've got First Responders Night. It's Mental Health Night on Friday. Star Wars Night, that's a big one for the kids. On Saturday, I think Molly's going to be there for that. Sensory Friendly Day as well on Sunday. Just kind of hit on some of those big events coming up this weekend on this homestand.
Yeah, and I appreciate it. We're hitting our stride with promotions. I mean, even though it's our third homestand of the year, tonight, we're going to do our Hometown Heroes. Again, a 6 o'clock game. Where the feedback we get, people love these earlier games, and then tomorrow we'll have Regents Field will be filled with local area school kids, so it's always fun, the first of 2 school days that we'll have. And the Thursday, we're going to have Landrum's favorite promotion. We'll have boy band, night and college night. So I know you have sentimentally, you're attracted to that one.
Will you wear your 98 Degrees T-shirt or your Backstreet Boys T-shirt?
What are you talking about, man? I'm an OG. I go New Kids on the Block.
Do you? Okay.
Yep.
Hanging
tough.
Have to, don't you?
You start playing the hits, you're going to get me out of my seat.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And then, like you mentioned, we have Mental Health Awareness Night on Friday night, which is a wonderful promotion to bring awareness to obviously that crisis here in America, and First Responders Night as well, and Faith and Family Night. And then Star Wars Night is always wonderful. We have so many families from across the community. We have a lot of Star Wars characters that will be here throughout the course of the game, followed by our fireworks show both on Friday night and Saturday. And then we cap it off on Sunday with Autism Awareness Day. And always very special. We adjust our normal game operations, lower the volume, and limit the number of promotions, all that, to ensure that families affected with autism, especially kids, can come out to Regents Field, feel comfortable and confident, and enjoy a Barons game at Regents Field. So we're looking forward to capping off the homestand in that fashion this Sunday.
Molly's going to be there for the Star Wars thing. She loves Yoda. She has got Yoda on a keychain. She could actually pull off Yoda if she dressed up in the Yoda suit just due to her height. But what if she did the special Princess Leia braids and she came as a blonde Leia? I think it's time to introduce a blonde Leia. Why should the brunettes have all the fun? Will she get a special prize?
Potentially. I think that we could work on that. I'm happy to connect her with the right folks. I know that we usually have 3 or 4 different Princess Leias scattered throughout the crowd that night, but all the more the merrier. We'd love for Molly to dress and be the part.
You just made my day. I love Star
you would
Wars.
be a great Leia.
Thank you. I can do the bun.
Do you get the group that comes over that I saw at the Braves game? I turned around in line and Chewbacca, who apparently was a former NBA basketball player, because he was full 7 foot in costume. Is that the group that comes over for you guys?
It's not. I don't think we get Tree Rollins to do the to Chewbacca. But this crew that does it, they've done it for a number of years, and they do so much great philanthropic work throughout the community and connect with so many kids that it's always fun, and they're always open to posing for pictures. But the costumes they have are second to none. I mean, they look as authentic as possible. So it's really fun, and it's fun to see the crowd and the kids interact with them.
Nelly, you said Tree Rollins. I was told it was John Concack.
Well, or Spud Webb. I know there's a slight difference in height, but still, we're going down that road.
Spud could be Yoda. Spud could be Yoda.
He was R2-D2.
Oh, yeah.
He could fit in that thing.
That would work.
Yeah.
All right, Nelly, so Pensacola tonight, that's a 6 o'clock first pitch. As always, we appreciate your time, and good luck with the homestand. We'll hope to see you soon.
Appreciate you guys. See you out here soon. Talk to you later.
That's Jonathan Nelson, general manager of the Birmingham Barons, joining us here on Three Man Front.
Molly, you going to do it? That'd be great.
I would love to go.
If you went in character.
Yeah. I love, when you go to Disney and there's the new Star Wars part.
Yeah.
And all the different rides.
I haven't been since 2000.
Really?
It's changed a little bit.
Yeah, it's really,
how much has Disney changed?
Really
Is it still really expensive?
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
that has not changed.
That has not changed.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bought all of our Christmas ornaments there one year.
We went to...
Unbeknownst to me until I got the bill, those things.
We did downtown
really nice.
Disneyland when we were in California.
Yeah.
But we didn't actually go into the park.
My wife's actually been to Disneyland.
I have too.
Yeah.
I like it. It's a lot smaller.
I have no desire to go to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to the one where Walt was like, no, we're going to make it bigger and we're going to make it better.
Orlando.
This is how we're going to do it.
Yeah.
Orlando, in the middle of this swamp. And he made it work.
I love Disney.
Yeah.
I've been so many times just because I had so many dance competitions down there.
Do you know how many times, and I heard this during our sermon, how many times Walt Disney was rejected for his animations? He was rejected over 1,009 times.
Wow.
Before somebody said, yep, we'll take your drawings and we think we can make this work. Persistence, Molly. That's what I'm trying to teach today.
I like that. It's a good...
Persistence.
Yeah, I like that.
Right, Pete?
Yes, very much so. Thanks, Landon. Coming up next on Three Man Front, we're going to go to Norman, Oklahoma. KREF radio personality Tyler McComas. He is going to join the program. We're going to get his thoughts on a very interesting offseason already for the Oklahoma Sooners. They have a new general manager, Jim Nagy, who used to run the Senior Bowl down in Mobile. He is now a Sooner. We will talk to him, and we'll get his thoughts on what's going on with that Oklahoma football program. All that as we're live at Social Taco. BB is here wearing her Kentucky Derby. Not really a derby, but just a Kentucky Derby
attire.
Yes. Come on by and see us. We're here until 2. This is Jocks 94.5. Welcome back as we begin hour number 3 of Three Man Front. Lunchtime across the great state of Alabama. Thanks for listening. Up in Huntsville, Alabama on the UMP, here in Birmingham and across central Alabama on Jocks 94.5. Capital City down in Montgomery, Alabama, 7:40 a.m. We always appreciate everybody tuning us in. We're live at Social Tacos, a Taco Tuesday. We're located up on the Taco Terrace on the second level. Come by and see us. We'll be here at 2 o'clock. Momentarily, we're going to go out to Norman, Oklahoma, and find out about the Oklahoma Sooners. They just grabbed a 5-star from Alabama from the basketball team, but mainly we're going to talk a little football coming up with Tyler McComas.
Well, we might get some rain later on this week, so before that rain gets here, go and check out Big Whiskeys because they have several big screens in the bar so you can catch the NBA playoffs, NHL, some Major League Baseball as well. They also have unique cocktails and over 120 whiskeys on tap. So like I said, before the rain gets here, go out and enjoy the outdoor patio in their game area. It's great for families, and the kids eat free on Tuesdays, and it's a Tuesday. So go take them to Big Whiskeys in the Stadium Trace Village off Highway 150 near the Hoover Met.
Joining us now on the Higginbotham Hotline, outstanding talk show host there in Norman, Oklahoma, from KREF Radio, Tyler McComas joins us here on Three Man Front. Tyler, I hope you're doing well on a beautiful day here in central Alabama.
Well, it's a rainy day. It's a spring here in Oklahoma. Sounds like you guys got a little bit better than us today.
Yeah, it is a Chamber of Commerce day down here, but you know what? In Alabama, just give it 24 hours and we'll be cussing the skies. So, yeah, it won't take long at all. All right, I've been impressed. You and I were texting yesterday, and I'll just be honest with you. I'm not trying to blow smoke here. I'm just being honest. I really like what Oklahoma has been able to do to this roster so far. So, educate me. Am I right in thinking that I like the direction they're going in? What is the Vox Populi saying there in the great state of Oklahoma?
You know, there is a lot of optimism around here. And I got to say, the seconds after the bowl game is finished and OU loses to Navy, they're 6-7 for the second time out of the past 3 years. I remember thinking to myself that, look, spring is the hype season for everybody across college football, but it's going to be really, really hard. Some big things are going to need to happen for our audience and this fan base to get excited about next season after the way this past year just did it, especially with that bowl loss to Navy. It was difficult. A lot of people were upset. You knew the schedule was going to be brutal again this coming year. And then you got a new offensive coordinator in Ben Arbuckle, who looks like he's a young, bright star. And then you got the number 1 quarterback in John Mateer that everyone's excited about. And then you got Jim Nagy, the GM, that everyone across the country raved about. And then you got other portal additions. And then you got Jaden Ott, the running back from Cal that was the best running back in the spring transfer portal. And guys, the day after he committed to Oklahoma, CBS Sports had a story out of the best running backs in the SEC in 2025, and Jaden Ott was listed at number 1. Now, I don't know if that's going to happen or not, if that's going to be true, but the fact that somebody out there thinks he might be the best running back in the SEC, yeah, Pat, I mean, I didn't see getting the number 1 quarterback. I didn't see getting the number 1 running back. They have what feels like significantly upgraded their roster, significantly upgraded an offensive coordinator, and those bad feelings that you had in late December, those have really turned around here in April, and there's a ton of optimism going into next year.
How much of an eye-opener was it for OU fans, knowing you're going into the SEC, the best in all the land, and knowing the talent that the SEC comprises, but was it a little bit of an eye-opener, even with the injuries and some of the deficiencies that OU had, as to where OU maybe needed to be talent-wise year in, year out?
Well, I think so, because I don't know if it's a new strategy, but they definitely have had the strategy, especially since Jim Nagy got here. Okay, we've got to look more like an NFL team, even at wide receiver. You know, we were trotting out 5'9", 5'10" wide receivers last year. The guys that they've been pursuing in the transfer portal and still are pursuing, those guys are 6'3". Those guys are 6'4". So I don't know if it surprised them or any of us around here that, well, the SEC has a bunch of NFL bodies out there. I think it was more of a reminder that that's where we need to get physically. we've got to look more like an NFL team getting off the bus. We've got to have bigger, stronger bodies at every single position, even in the skill spots. And one thing you learned last year, being in the Big 12 for so long, is that if you had a weakness in the Big 12, you could hide that weakness because, whatever that weakness was, there weren't a whole lot of Big 12 teams that could really expose your weakness. If you got a weakness in the SEC, it's going to get exposed, and it's going to get exposed every single week. The bad thing for Oklahoma last year is their weak spots were at offensive line, were at quarterback, were at wide receiver, and those were exposed every single week. So you can't hide in this league, man. If you're not good somewhere, teams are going to find it, and they're going to expose it.
So I have to ask you this question now that the starting quarterback last year is now at Auburn and that they're going to make the trip to Norman, Oklahoma. How do you think that's going to play with the faithful there as the season gets going?
How do I think that Auburn fans are going to deal with that, or him coming back, or just Jackson Arnold?
The Oklahoma fans dealing with Jackson Arnold coming back.
Yeah, so we actually brought this up last week. How is Jackson Arnold going to be received? And I just don't – I mean, there will be some boos out there. I mean, that's just kind of the nature these days. There are still some people upset with Jackson Arnold because they view him as a huge reason why the offense was so bad last year. What it really boils down to is he was a 5-star quarterback coming out of high school, and everyone had their hopes up that he was going to be the face of this program going into the SEC. I don't think that you can look at last year's OU's offense and say that Jackson Arnold was the only issue or maybe even the biggest issue. He didn't have a chance last year. They didn't have a run game to speak of. He didn't even have any time to throw. Frankly, guys, I thought that he had a really, really bad offensive coordinator last year. They got fired in his first season midway through the year. I don't think OU did any favors whatsoever helping him out. I think the fans around here are starting to really realize that. And if John Mateer is the quarterback around here that people think, it's an important game. We've talked about that. You cannot let Jackson Arnold, after what happened last year, come in here and win a Norman to open up SEC play. But is he going to get a ton of boos when he comes back? I would probably guess that's not going to be the case.
How short is the leash for Brent Venables? This is always such a tough question for you to answer, for us to ask, because there's so many different factors that play into it. But reading, whether it's the athletic director, whether it's influential boosters, the fan base overall, what does this year need to look like for Brent Venables to keep his seat cold?
I think you have to be in playoff contention in the month of November. And here's why I say that. Clearly it hasn't been good since he's gotten here. 6 and 7 seasons, 2 of the past 3 years. That's not good enough. Not here. I don't care what conference you're in. People have been upset about it. But here's what, and I mentioned all the additions, but here's what OU did this offseason. They made sure that Brent Venables had the best chance possible to have a great season, even with a tough schedule. We'll go get you the number 1 portal quarterback. We'll go get you the number 1 running back. We'll go get you the OC. We'll go get you the GM. We'll go get you this offensive lineman, this defensive lineman, this wide receiver. We'll give you everything you need to prove it. So I think Oklahoma's stance right now is, all right, well, we've essentially thrown out a lot of money on this roster to put Brent in the best situation possible to win this year. They were 6 and 7 last year. If they're 6 and 7 again, he's going to be fired. If they're 7 and 5 this year, I think he's going to be fired. The conversation really starts if they win 8 games. It depends on how it looks. Might he be back? There's a chance. But, guys, I'm almost inclined to say that he needs to really be in playoff contention once he gets to November. And I've even heard some people say that it needs to be a 9-win season for him to be the head coach at Oklahoma in 2026. That's not going to be easy to do, but given the expectations here and how much they've given him, maybe a 9-win season is what it's going to need to be for him to be back.
All right, we'll play this out just a little bit further. With one of the first phone calls, if indeed he was relieved of his duties, would it go to Jeff Lebby?
No.
Okay.
It would not go to Jeff Lebby. No, I mean, Frank, I don't even know. I don't even think Jeff Lebby would necessarily get a phone call from Oklahoma if it came to that.
Okay.
Tyler McComas joins us from KREF Radio there in Norman, Oklahoma, joining us for a few minutes here on Three Man Front talking Oklahoma Sooners. You just mentioned it, year one in the SEC. You kind of talked about, the strength and the differences between the Big 12 and the SEC. From a fan base standpoint, and we're going to talk about basketball in just a minute, but from a football standpoint, was it just a really stark difference between the Big 12 and the SEC from a fan perspective based on what they saw in person when Oklahoma suited up and played in SEC play?
Yeah, but in an awesome way. I got to go to every single road game last year, and I don't get media credentials. I like the atmosphere. I like to feel the stadium. I like to sit out in the stands. So I just bought a ticket to every single road game last year, and just the level of tailgating, the level of passion, the level of trash talk. Guys, even like the sizes of the stadium, like things that if you've been in the SEC for a while are probably just normal to you. Being in the Big 12 for so long, and OU's played across the country at some really cool venues, but you walk up to Tiger Stadium and you say, wow, this place is incredible. You walk up to Jordan-Hare and you see all that tailgating. I mean, it just truly is a different world. And being in the Big 12, we used to make fun of the slogan, it just means more. But your first year in the SEC, going to Auburn, going to LSU, going to Ole Miss, I think we all kind of looked at each other at the end of the year and said, well, we used to kind of make fun of it, but it really is true. It's just a different league. It's where I think Oklahoma's supposed to be. It's where they need to be. And I don't know. I had an absolute blast last year. I can't wait to make it to Tuscaloosa and Knoxville and Columbia, South Carolina this year. From a fan standpoint, and you asked that, and I got to experience that side of it, how nice the people were. It was just even during a 6 and 7 season, it was probably my favorite year of watching college football of my entire life because it's just different down there, man. It is. It's so much fun.
And quite the year for you guys to come into the league, not only with football seeing just being what it is, but what we got this last college basketball season and what we're getting now with college baseball and the SEC and just the dominance continuing. Are you making plans to be here with us in Hoover for the SEC baseball tournament?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it. I would love to get there. The single elimination tournament maybe makes it a little bit more difficult getting out there, and I don't think that they'd be one and done, but I guess you never know. Of course, all the rain delays and everything else. I'm going to make it out there someday, but I'd really love to go to the SEC baseball tournament. But you mentioned how good the SEC is across all leagues. Guys, I think that you can make an argument that in year one in the SEC, OU's had its best home schedules ever in just about every single major sport. It's the best home schedule of my lifetime. Last year in year one, it's even better this year. The baseball series, LSU came here, Ole Miss will be here, Mississippi State, Texas. Across all sports, it's generated a whole lot more revenue across the city. It's generated a lot more excitement. It's not just football, but in all sports, it's been a huge, huge deal around here.
Tyler, before we let you go, I want to ask you about your basketball program. The men's basketball team got a big 5-star out of the transfer portal, somebody that we are very familiar with, Darian Reed, the 5-star Alabama forward who is now transferring to OU. A lot of excitement around that basketball program, what they've been able to do so far as they try to bring that roster back up to contention in the conference?
Yeah, I mean, you had a head coach on the hot seat going into last year in Porter Moser, who took Loyola Chicago to a Sweet 16 and a Final Four, but up until last year, he hadn't made the NCAA tournament. So that was kind of the goal last year. Just get to the tournament, don't have to pay a buyout, and we'll see what you can do in year two in the SEC. But every chance that Porter Moser had, he routinely said, even after they lost the first round of the tournament game to UConn, he even said, games are won in the offseason. And he's consistently pointed out that they had one of the lowest NIL budgets in basketball in all of the SEC. Now, that seemingly has turned around pretty significantly because, yes, a lot of people are excited about Darion Reed. They also got Nigel Pack from Miami. They also got a couple of other really nice transfer portal additions. So it feels like OU saw the investments that other SEC basketball programs are making and saying, oh, we've got to get on that level. Maybe not to the level of Kentucky or maybe not to the level of some of the upper echelon teams in the SEC. But if we're going to really compete in this league and be in the tournament year in, year out, we can't be towards the bottom when it comes to NIL. And it feels like over the course of the past couple of months, they've really addressed that. And getting this kid, the former 5-star, top 15 player overall in his recruiting class, is a nice step to kind of bolstering the overall talent that's on the roster.
I got to hang out with Porter Moser, and you have these preconceived notions about how somebody is just by watching them on TV or coaching during games, and that's totally not fair. But getting to hang out with him in San Antonio, he is absolutely just a wonderful person in my experience. I would love to play for him, and I hope he does well because he just seems like a genuinely just good dude.
He's a good dude. He's an intense guy, man, especially when you play for him. I mean, he's got high expectations, but everyone really roots for him. And a lot like Brent's, hope it works out. There's some people, I don't know if it is going to work out, but I hope it does work out. I mean, the likability that he has around here is extremely high for sure.
Well, Tyler, we appreciate your time. As always, thanks for joining us and giving us a little bit of a finger on the pulse of what's going on there at OU, and we look forward to one day you making your way down this way, or we can make our way out that way and hanging out and watching some SEC ball, whatever it is.
So November 14th is a Friday, I believe the day before the OU-Alabama game. I'll probably be in Birmingham somewhere, so let's make that happen.
Come on.
Absolutely.
Let's do it.
Absolutely. Conrad was there in Norman to watch the beatdown of his Tide. So he had an absolutely wonderful time in Norman. The game sucked for him, but the just the interaction with the fans and the town and everything, he came back and reported just a great time. So major
people
kudos.
didn't agree that Kyler Murray robbed 2 of the Heisman, though. I did not get a lot of good interaction when I brought that up.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, there's a statue of that guy behind the east side there. But I've always felt, and this goes back to the 02-03 series, that's the last time I was in Tuscaloosa. Mike Shula was the head coach. I felt like there's always been a lot of mutual respect between OU and Alabama fans, and I think that'll continue here moving forward. I think.
I think you're right. More so than the Texas, I can just tell you. People in the conference already hate Texas, which that didn't take long.
Good.
Yeah. Which I know that brings a tear to your eye, being an Oklahoma Sooner.
Yeah.
So. It goes without saying. Hey, Tyler, have a great show this afternoon, man. Thanks as always.
Appreciate it, guys.
Thanks.
Tyler McComas is joining us, as all of our guests do, in the Higginbotham Hotline for all your financial, insurance, and HR needs. It's Higginbotham.
Travis Lloyd over to Bide Roofing and his local team. They're ready to help you. Matter of fact, they're ready to give you a free roof inspection. No strings attached, no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on up there on top of your roof. You need to call them today at 205-922-7134. It's beautiful outside, but we all know that we're just days away from another bad storm or two, and that could lead to more damage to your home. So Travis and his team, they want to get on your roof and give you a free assessment to tell you what's going on, whether you've got no loose shingles or you've got no leaks potentially, or in my case, I needed a brand new roof, a complete replacement, and he took care of that. I had to deal with my insurance company, and that's where his team and Travis Lloyd came in, and they dealt with my insurance company. Matter of fact, Travis himself got on my roof, spent over 2 hours with an insurance adjuster going through everything, and everything was approved because of Travis and Abide Roofing. So call them today, 205-922-7134. I 100% recommend the great work that they do. They're insured, they're licensed, they're bonded. They're the real deal. Call them today. Jason Standridge, of course, part of the great team that he has there, along with Travis Lloyd. Abide Roofing, abideroof.com, 205-922-7134.
We continue live from Social Taco. Got a good group here, always do. People still arriving. We're on the air until 2. Check out the menu, socialtaco.bar, for more information. Boy, that looks good. We'll continue 3-man front on Tuesday on Jocks 94.5.
Welcome back to 3-Man Front. We're live at Social Taco. It's 12:23, Jocks 94.5. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. Always great to catch up with Tyler McComas from KREF Radio there in Norman, Oklahoma. Communicate with Tyler throughout the football season. He was just absolutely blown away just by the fact that all these different matchups that Oklahoma had last year, just night and day difference between the Big 12 and the SEC.
Yeah, and one of the other interesting things, did it surprise you a little bit what he said about Brent Venables? And there are some people that believe that he needs to win at least 9 games and be sniffing a playoff, which I guess with Oklahoma you would expect that. Last year, notwithstanding, because there were so many different issues. But, yeah, I mean, the pressure's on, and while they care about their other sports there at OU, there's one that everybody looks at, and it's the bell cow, and it's going to be your college football program and what that looks like. And especially with the likes of Texas and the resurgence of what they're doing, and now the arms race and being in it day in, day out, and having to navigate the players or the portal and keep that roster, it's a whole new deal. and that comes the pressure of winning. And he won't be the only coach that's on a hot seat this season.
No, you're absolutely right. That will be a major topic of discussion as we get to Atlanta and SEC football media days. Molly, there was a post earlier this morning. We played the audio clips yesterday in regards to the CBS Sunday Morning with Bill Belichick. And obviously his girlfriend Jordan became a major topic of discussion. So kind of walk us through what happened on Instagram this morning, because she posted something and now supposedly she's going to have a statement that she's going to release later today.
So she posted a screenshot of an email that Bill Belichick had sent, I guess, to the CBS staff, the people interviewing him. And this is a screenshot from April 10th, so a couple weeks ago. And I'm not going to lie, it's a pretty long, lengthy email. And I think it's basically emphasizing that he wanted the interview to be about the book.
Right.
And not, I mean, there's nothing about their personal relationship in the email. And she posted the screenshot with the caption, "Full statement to be released later today."
So I guess the statement is probably going to talk about how disappointed they were in regards to the CBS and I guess the way that they covered the interview, I suppose.
Yes, and then
it's not like he asked the question, "Are you guys sleeping together?" He asked a simple question. I thought it was a fair question. How did you guys meet?
Well, and apparently the thing that's throwing everybody off is they have already shared in the past a story about how they met on an airplane.
Right.
And so then when it comes out and it's like, we're not talking about that, everyone starts to go, so the airplane story wasn't true? Like, and plus, if it's some big secret, would you not have come up with an alibi by now?
Well,
would you not have sat down and said, let's get our
while,
story straight?
When you're handing over the keys to your football program, I'm not going to call it the kingdom, but you're handing over the keys. You're investing all of this money to bring him in as your head football coach and saying, look, you've got everything at your disposal. Aren't you probably going to ask in casual conversation, hey, by the way, we noticed at the time your 23-year-old girlfriend, what is this serious? How did you guys meet? Those things probably come up. So if there's something to hide, then yeah, people's antennas are going to go up. I don't know why that was such an unfair question.
On her Twitter, she's also been reposting things from people responding to the CBS interview. Like this one says, maybe she didn't want her personal relationship to be part of the interview instead on football. The interview was supposed to be about his new book and his dad at Navy. That's why they were wearing Navy for this reason.
Did she pick the shirt that he wore? I'm sorry, I just have to ask. Like, was that
her
with
the holes in it?
Hey, wore the ripped up Navy shirt, Bill.
I have no idea.
If you don't want this to be about you, stop posting mermaid pictures and having him, doing all these whatever. I guess they're in love.
She also
silly things.
Reposted this. Says Bill looks like he wants to reach across and strangle the life out of the interviewer.
Well, it's like if it's not about her, then why are you sitting in the interview and answering questions for him?
Yeah.
Like she loves this. You knew the attention you were going to get for being in a relationship with one of the most iconic football coaches of all time, who's 50 years older than you.
Guys, you don't get this in Hancock, Maine. You don't get this in Hancock County. Right?
It's just weird.
It is weird.
So we anticipate this statement this afternoon, Molly, will be them bashing the media, I suppose.
I just hope it's a long story about how they met. That's what I want the statement to be.
She was still a student. She had a textbook. Deductive Logic, I think, was the name of the book. And apparently they had a really heartfelt conversation. He inspired her to keep studying, stay the course.
To become CEO of his video production company.
Oh, and by the way, can I get your number?
There it is. There's the book. She posted on her Instagram.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. February 11th, 2021.
And how old was she?
Well, that would make her 20 at the time, Pat.
It's just bad because, I mean, we don't have to say it, but we all know what it looks like. And until you say something or come out with an actual response to how they met, it just appears a certain way. You would think you would want to squash that.
Molly, do you think that they stay together as long as he's the coach at North Carolina? What's your gut telling you?
I don't know. Something like this. I mean, they've already been together for. It's kind of been a while.
I mean, she's in this for the long haul, right? Like,
yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah, I mean.
Who was that nice lady? That nice lady that he had the long relationship with that was a lot closer to his age.
Yeah, she was in her 50s, I believe.
Yeah.
Also, I
They were
found her
together for a long
birthday.
time.
March 5th, 2001.
Wait, that was her birthday, is 2001?
Yes.
That's hard to hear.
That's really breaking Conrad up.
That makes me feel old.
All right, well, we'll await the statement later on today. That should be exciting. Can't wait. Is she going to put it out, or does she have her camp that puts it out?
I think we already know how this statement's going to read.
Yeah.
It's always the media's fault.
So she was, if my math is correct here.
How many times will like be in the statement? I'm just kidding.
If my math is correct here, she was, 2 years old when he won his first Super Bowl with the Patriots?
Yeah, but a very mature 2 years
game?
old. A very mature 2 years old. She was already walking.
She was breaking down film.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's like, I knew this Tom Brady guy. I knew it all along. He was the answer.
Yep.
Bledsoe injury is the best thing that ever happened to us.
I would just love to get the one-on-one from Belichick's daughter, Belichick's son.
I want to know what her parents think.
Yeah.
Me too.
What was that first conversation with
Where
Dad?
are her parents?
Is he older? I mean, Bill's got to be older than her dad.
Okay, without knowing any backstory, this is my guess, is that her dad is not in her life.
I think he is.
Okay, I didn't know.
And the only reason why I say that is because.
Fair assumption, though, Landrum. I mean, I get that.
Okay, you knew where I was coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, that was not out.
So
unfair.
you're trying to say she has daddy issues?
Her bio says daughter of a Maine fisherman.
Yeah, but he could have
advocates
been
a lot
killed
for
one
him.
day out at sea. We don't know
Well,
that. That's
maybe.
why I prefaced all of that. Something tragic could have happened.
Yeah, I don't know.
The seas get
He's just stranded at sea for
very
the last
volatile.
20 years.
Yeah.
All right.
He went out for those lobsters, and Daddy never came back.
The real story is he relocated with his new family there in Utah.
More three-man front. We're live at Social Taco. This is Jocks 94.5. It's 12:36, Jocks 94.5. Great to see our Jocks listeners, chit-chatting with them in between our commercial breaks. Always fun time here at Social Taco. A couple of headlines to pass along to you at this hour. It's a situation where Mississippi State's now looking for a brand new baseball coach as Lamonis was let go yesterday. That was one of the major stories in college baseball yesterday. He was 232 and 135 over in Starkville, won a national championship. Mississippi State's currently 25-19, 7-14 in the Southeastern Conference. Pitching coach Justin Parker, he is going to serve as the interim head coach for the remainder of the season. So if the season ended right now, Mississippi State, they would be the 14 seed. That's right, the 14 seed in the 16-team Southeastern Conference. They would play Kentucky on day one if the season were to end today. Meanwhile, transfer portal news for former five-star Alabama forward Darian Reed. He is transferring to Oklahoma. Reed joins an SEC program, meaning he'll face the Crimson Tide at least one time next season. Reed was the final former Alabama player to announce his transfer destination as Nas Cunningham committed to UNLV. Jaron Stevenson went back to his home to North Carolina. And Mo Diabate stayed in the SEC as he is going to play for Kentucky. Also on the news front for Alabama, we told you yesterday afternoon that Cedric Coward was eyeing Duke over Alabama, and he made that official yesterday. It's an interesting situation because here's an individual. He's 6'6", played at Washington State, but he only played in 6 games last year because he tore his labrum. So he had to have surgery, and he was out for the year. But in those 6 games, Landrum, he averaged almost 18 points a game.
Yeah. I would think that playing basketball with a torn labrum is problematic.
Yeah.
I've got one that I think is not torn, but it's really aggravated right now. And, yeah, that would stink.
Yeah. But he averaged almost 18 points a game in 6 games for the Cougars and 7 rebounds. Meanwhile, Auburn is still in the market for one more roster piece, and they're looking either a 6'8", 6'10", or a 6'11" player to join the roster. Right now, Vin Allen Lubin from Louisville. That's North Carolina transfer, Lubin. Louisville transfer James Scott. Texas Tech entry Federico.
Mm-hmm.
He's so great, they named him twice, the same thing.
Yes.
He's 6'11", so that's the 3 that they have. There's Dr. Mel.
There is Dr. Mel. He came straight from the OR.
Dr. Mel.
Looking at the James Scott guy, that is a guy that started his career at the College of Charleston and then came over with Pat Kelsey, his coach, to Louisville.
Yeah.
But at this point, you're just looking for a quality big man.
Yep.
I don't know. He will not play the role that Janai Broome played this season. I think it's going to look much different.
Yeah, pretty much so. So just some transfer portal musings as we get closer to another day of actually it being kind of closed and rosters get cemented, things of that nature. Good to see Dr. Mel. He has made his appearance here at 3-man front.
He's all scrubbed out right now.
He's got his scrubs on. Dr. Mel. It's good to see he's out there serving.
Always serving. Wonderful. The text line is open, 205-834-9450. Some of this on Jordan Hudson and the conversation that we were having. I don't know why I didn't pick this up earlier. You asked, did she have daddy issues? And Paul texts in, she has granddaddy issues. Will is asking, did Eagle staff, who came from North Dakota, went to South Carolina, did he ever commit anywhere?
Yes, he committed to West Virginia.
West Virginia. Okay.
And we also, I don't know if this came out during y'all shows yesterday, but we had talked about that Cedric Coward kid from Washington State. It was between Duke and Alabama. He picked Duke yesterday. So.
Okay. Posey's saying, Bill Belichick isn't doing anything that Hugh Hefner hasn't already done.
Different professions.
Brandon Side says, I never saw Jalen Milroe with a headset, clipboard, or coach with him on the sideline after a mistake, or at all, ever, all caps. Conrad?
I'm sure we can go back and find somewhere that happened, but yeah, I guess a lot of our takeaways, at least last year, were him Sitting in solitude on the bench. Yep.
Justin texted in, so Jordan's dad fished for lobster and Bill fished for, I will replace the word that he used and I'll say love. Makes sense. Who do y'all think is the best returning back in the SEC? Running back. Cool.
Well,
Jaden Knott.
I was about to say if he counts, since he transferred in.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because I love Jam Miller. I wouldn't have him up there right now. Jarquez is gone. Etienne is gone. It probably would be Jaden Knott if we count transfers.
Yeah. Usually had some good when they departed.
I'll say Dylan Sampson's gone. Yep.
Jarquez got drafted.
Ole Miss doesn't like running backs.
Nope. Or they don't like him. Depends on who you ask,
Well.
Quinshon Judkins. Drake says, can you tell me what was Kittle's contract again? George Kittle.
Yeah, absolutely. Kittle's contract was 4 years, $76.4 million. That's a $40 million guarantee. Trey McBride of Arizona is now the number 2 highest paid tight end based on annual value, right at $19 million. Travis Kelce, next highest with an average of $17 million.
Okay. Going back to Chris Lemonis being fired as Mississippi State's head baseball coach yesterday. This one coming in from the state of Mississippi. Thanks for listening on the Jocks 94.5 app. I know Alabama people would prefer winning in baseball, but they really don't care in Mississippi. We care about winning, and if you ain't winning, the coach is going to go. If you ask Mississippi State fans right now and you said, all right, you got to choose between one or the other, would you continue to fight the arms race that is college football in the SEC, or you can keep your baseball program? What do you think they'd keep?
I think it would be baseball. I mean, first off, they've won a national championship in baseball, and no disrespect whatsoever to my brethren from Starkville, Mississippi, but I do not see them winning a national championship in football.
But they will forever be the answer to the trivia question of who was the first team to ever be ranked number 1 in the college football playoff rankings.
That is
It'll
correct.
be Mississippi State.
Yep.
And then they got clobbered in Tuscaloosa.
Yep.
Alan adds this: what if Jordan's dad has been missing for years at sea, only to be found and to find out his daughter is dating his favorite team's coach?
Wouldn't that be something to find out that they were like lifelong Tar Heel fans?
Jake says Richard Young will be the best back in the SEC this year.
I hope so.
All right, keep them coming in. Love reading them. I have to clean them up, some of you. I know what you're doing. 205-834-9450. 800-239-WJOX. We're going to visit with Dr. Mel and some of our other friends who've joined us at Social Taco. Won't you join us? The doors are going to remain open. We're here until 2 o'clock. It's three-man front on Jocks 94.5. 12:49, we continue live from Social Taco here in Homewood, visiting with Dr. Mel, one of our Great Jocks listeners, also just a fine, fine human being. He's joining us. We've got BB, the First Lady of Social Taco, in our Tuesday get-together. She is in all of her Kentucky Derby regalia, and Don has changed outfits. I was unaware that there was going to be a wardrobe change for him. But now he looks a little bit like Panama Jack. We have someone wearing a Tennessee. That's Constance, right?
Wait, Don changed outfits?
Yeah, he changed outfits. I don't know what's going on here.
Wait, so what did he start with, and what is he now?
I'll be honest with you. I don't remember, but it was not Panama Jack.
It was not, okay.
No, he added a hat, and he's got a floral, not floral, I guess it's a palm tree type. It's a shirt that kind of looks like a...
You would see someone wearing it at the beach, though.
Yeah, or the design kind of like a, let's just say a license plate that you could put on the front of your car that might have been airbrushed, that you could remember your visit to one of the beaches. Okay. You know what I'm saying, right?
Yep.
Anyways, everybody is here. You can come and join us at Social Taco. We're here every Tuesday. We broadcast 10 until 2. And our friends at Social Taco want to remind you can check out their menu and check out the great selection at socialtaco.bar. But they have the half-off happy hour, 3 to 6 Monday through Friday. We got nice weather today, so enjoy some time on the patio or inside where it's nice and 68 degrees right now, and enjoy some of the great menu options they have. They've added the smoked wings, which are wonderful. If you've been to Social Taco, you know about their wings. Well, they have a different variation but very, very good wing that you can order here as one of your appetizers. Also, the buffalo chicken pizza, which is amazing. Some other great things. That's why they tell you, just check out the menu, socialtaco.bar, for more information. We've been talking a little bit about our Twitter poll question of the day, Conrad, and what it looks like as we start peeking ahead to college football season. Not that we ever take our eyes off of college football season, but the mass exodus comment from an anonymous source about Jalen Milroe and had he returned to the University of Alabama, and then other people chiming in on expectations for 2025. I want to go back to something, though, Conrad, that Mike Griffith told us earlier. I asked him the question, who's going to be hurt more? And I'm paraphrasing, but who would be hurt more by the loss of their quarterback? Would it be Ole Miss and losing Jackson Dart, or would it be Tennessee and Nico? And immediately, I just think it's going to be Ole Miss. Now, I know that they've replaced guys in the portal, but they've replaced guys in the portal in the past. You had consistency in a guy that you really trusted in that offense last year leading the way. I find it hard to believe that it's going to be a not miss a step with Lane Kiffin in that offense.
Yeah, it's tough with those two situations, right? Because with Tennessee, you have, I guess, somewhat of a known commodity in Aguilar, and a guy that started for multiple years, but it's been at a lower level of competition. So you have the questions of, okay, he was a nice player at App State, but how's that going to translate here in the SEC? Whereas with Ole Miss, you know, a lot of what we're going off with Austin Simmons, who's going to be the quarterback this year for Lane Kiffin, is based on that first drive we saw against Georgia, right, where he was incredible, and you watched that and you went, okay, it seems like it's in the, you know, the future's in bright hands, but it was one drive of a football game, right? And so that's not a whole lot to base that off of. So, yeah, you know, I think Ole Miss certainly right now would be the correct answer, just because we don't really know what they have in Austin Simmons. I think the potential is certainly there for him to be better than Aguilar, but it's hard to say that right now because you have a guy that's a multi-year starter that we have tape on. So he's pretty good. It's just a question of how he's going to fit at Tennessee. But I do think what Mike said as well about Ole Miss, and especially on defense, man, some of what they lost on the defensive side of the ball, that is going to be the more difficult thing for them to overcome, and why I wouldn't expect Ole Miss to probably be in the conversation for a playoff spot this year, but we could be wrong.
I don't think it's fair to say that LSU fans, of all the fan bases, of knowing what you got at the QB position, they feel the best with Garrett Nussmeier and him coming back. Texas fans probably a close second there with Arch Manning. And
South Carolina would be up there.
I think we've seen enough. Yeah, South Carolina's certainly going to be there with just a freakish athlete that can change a game on a dime and should only be better in 2025. And Lenore Sellers. Then you got the likes of Alabama, Auburn. You think you know what you have, but there's some other contributing factors you got to take into account. And, there's just a lot of the unknowns. But as we get closer to not only SEC meetings coming up in Sandestin, but also SEC Media Days in Atlanta, we'll have plenty to digest. But Oklahoma fans got to feel good about Mateer coming in.
I'm super high on Oklahoma, not necessarily in the sense of what Tyler was saying where, they need to be in the playoff conversation. Maybe they will. Their schedule's pretty difficult, though. But, I think John Mateer is one of those guys. I know he played at Washington State, and we can, make all the cracks we want about the schedule he played. But, this is a dude that threw for like 30 touchdowns and ran for 15 touchdowns last year. He has a strong argument to be made that he's the best quarterback coming back in college football this upcoming year. So I think if you're an Oklahoma fan, your expectations should be pretty high. It's just we know the standard of that program, and like Tyler was saying, you need to be probably in that 9-win category to feel good about the direction that your program's going. But they should be much better.
Expectations in the standard. That's what we talk about when we talk about Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East in Birmingham. Joey and Rachel Goshen, they're the managing partners, husband and wife, but their son Austin's there in the sales department. It's the entire team, whether their last name is Goshen or not. They all reflect the values of our friends at Dobbs Ford. Whether you ever buy a car, truck, or SUV there at Dobbs, you're going to appreciate the customer experience and how they're going to treat you as a person. I promise you, even if you don't purchase anything from there, you're going to walk away and you're going to have a new friend. That's just the kind of people that they are. Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East in Birmingham. You're going to pay what the Dobbs employees pay. Right now, you got employee pricing on select makes and models. Also, 90 days until your first payment. Alabama's largest showroom selection. They got a great selection of pre-owned vehicles as well. Financing is available. Check them out, DobbsFordBirmingham.com, DobbsFordBirmingham.com. And as always, when you reach out to them, whether you're there in person or on the phone, let them know that Landrum from 3-Man Front sent you. We continue live from Social Taco. Folks still arriving. That's a very recognizable face.
Tua came up.
Maybe
there?
maybe we'll be able to tell you who it is, but you would recognize her. 3-Man Front continues. Jock 94.5.
Welcome back. It's hour number 4, three-man front live on Jocks 94.5. Pat, Molly, Landrum here on location. Social Taco until 2 o'clock. Conrad Van Order, high atop Red Mountain. Boy, we are getting some a lot of familiar faces up here. Sheila Smoot, longtime local news anchor at Channel 6, also Channel 13.
Former Jefferson County Commissioner.
Yep, she has come by here because she heard about how much fun we have up here on Tuesdays. Did you see Joe from Vestavia, our friend from the Friends of Rick Wood, and good to see Dr. Mel. Just always a good time up here. And if you've never experienced it before, outside the wonderful, wonderful cuisine that you're going to have, that Taylor and the fine folks prepare for you each and every day here at Social Taco, it's, of course, a time to break bread with Landrum Roberts.
Yeah, and break bread with Pat Smith, and break bread or a chip with Molly Robinson hanging out. And don't forget about brunch on the weekends. 10 to 2:30, you got the Bottomless Tapas brunch. Bottomless Tapas brunch, 10 to 2:30, Saturday and Sunday. It's a great brunch. You got to check it out.
Yeah, very much so. We do this each and every day. I come up with 5 questions, and the folks give me their answers. This is what we call Pat Ponders. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Go by and see them right off of I-459, exit 32, or visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. All right, question number 1. The governing body for Formula One racing, the International Automobile Federation, has tweaked its code of conduct that now includes sanctions for drivers using inappropriate language. Now, these penalties would not include over-the-team radio communications. In other words, if you're doing post-race interviews or they hear you use profanity, they can fine you. And they did here recently with a couple of drivers in Portugal. So this had me pondering. What sports do you think the players or the participants use the most profanity?
Oh, it's got to be the NBA.
Okay.
I was thinking hockey, too. Based on the hockey player friends that I have.
But then every insult is followed with an
yeah.
A, and then it's like, is it really that offensive?
I think it's golf, believe it or not.
See, I was going more golf.
I think it's golf.
Is that
How
more
many
with
times
each other?
we heard a guy
themselves?
that we thought was squeaky clean, and then a mic picks up what he's actually saying.
All right, so you say golf.
I think it's golf.
I'm leaning golf. Molly says
I go
hockey.
I think those guys, they drop fudge a good bit in 18 holes of play. Some of them, not all of them.
And Conrad goes NBA.
Well, if we're counting just like how many times someone like utters a curse word under their breath at themselves, then yeah, I think golf is definitely the right answer. And I'm thinking more of like a trash talk route, and that's why I'm thinking NBA for trash talk. Oh yeah, those. Yeah.
Some of these sports you would think, but would they catch their breath? They're probably not talking that much trash. But I think golf, there's enough downtime, and they're walking down the fairway, and they're kind of buying themselves, and whether they outwardly express it or not, a lot of those guys are cussing themselves or cussing their club.
So what do you think about Formula One fining the drivers for using profanity?
Had it gotten really bad, were they...
Apparently they're a bunch of potty mouths.
Yeah, I could see that, a bunch of hothead drivers. Not that if you competitively race, you're a hothead, but I could see those Formula One guys. They're a little more prima donna than some of the others, aren't they?
It's all those Europeans, man.
Isn't it really hard to get tickets to some of those races? Mm-hmm. Like Miami Grand Prix.
Oh, it's a big deal, yeah.
The Grand Prix down there, you have to be invited, right? To go and attend that race, or just have bukus of money, which usually get you invited.
I think you have to have a yacht to be invited. I think that's the prerequisite.
I think of what's his name, Jean whatever, the guy who drove the Perrier car in Talladega Nights.
Yeah, Jean
I
Girard.
think about that being the persona of all of the Formula One guys from Portugal.
You made me spill my macchiato.
You're Ricky Bobby. Bobby.
All right, question number 2. On this day in 1961, the television program ABC's Wide World of Sports debuted. The program would air on Saturday afternoons. It would run for 36 years. Which one of these sports that they did broadcast would you have loved to have witnessed in person? I'm going to give you 3 options. Mexican cliff diving, Lager lumberjack sports, or the Oklahoma rattlesnake hunt.
Ooh.
Which one of those 3 that they actually aired on the Wide World of Sports would you have loved to be a patron of?
I care nothing about the whole lumberjack thing.
Yeah, neither do I.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's not
wonderful. Go chop some more wood. The cliff diving, just from being there, if I'm sitting in a boat, I'm watching them dive from the cliff, being a spectator, plus it's beautiful weather. It's going to be a lovely week, Pat. We're going to have a lot of fun. But the rattlesnake hunt and the roundup?
Yeah, I want more details on this.
Because I know that they have it down in Op, the rattlesnake roundup. But I also watched that documentary when Mike Gundy was going around with that group, and they were hunting the rattlesnakes. That's a fascination. By a nose, I will go cliff diving.
Cliff diving. All right.
See, I think the rattlesnake thing sounds really cool, but if I'm going to be there in person, I don't want to be around those snakes. And I'm with you. I don't really care about the lumber thing. So I want the cliff diving.
The lumber thing. If those watching on YouTube got to see the Molly,
she did like a little
the get away from me. Like,
shoo.
Stop bothering me.
It was like, this right here. There's just a lot going on right here. She was
my jazz hands.
That was your jazz hands.
All right, so you're going cliff diving?
Yeah. I think that'd be so cool.
And Conrad, you said rattlesnake?
Yeah, I'll go rattlesnake, not to toot my own horn, but I've actually gotten to see cliff divers before when I was in Mexico.
Oh.
It was really cool, actually. Now, granted, it was terrifying because, every time they jump, you're like, oh, man, is this really worth it? But it is very cool to see. Yet also terrifying.
All 3 of those sports, I think Landrum might have been a little bit too young to remember, but literally when you had 3 channels on your television and Saturday afternoon was Wide World of Sports. I mean, they ran the gamut. I mean, they showed all sorts of sports.
The first
not
TV
just the
that I
regular
remember,
ones.
Pat, I think we had 12 channels.
Did you?
Yeah. But
So
I
what's
don't know
the
if
lumber-
all of them were occupied. But there were 12 on the dial. It's just as high as it went.
So what's the lumberjack thing? Who can chop down a tree the fastest, I guess?
If you don't remember the early days of ESPN, they used to have tons of lumberjack challenges.
They had
all
that
the
up
time.
until recently.
Really?
Yeah,
yeah,
they
and
would
now we
stand on
get
top of that
drone
log.
racing and stuff.
You got the log rolling. Remember
Yeah.
the 2 people on a log that's trying to knock the other one off?
Oh, that'd be kind of okay.
Yeah.
That's kind of fun.
Okay.
I respect it. It's just not a whole lot of fun to watch.
Then you got the chainsaws.
Wait,
yeah.
What? They like juggling chainsaws or something?
Well, not juggling, but I mean they're cutting lumber. They're doing things.
Oh, I thought you were
on-
like 2 people were like fighting each other with chainsaws or something.
Yeah, they got chainsaws fighting each other, rolling on a log.
Now
In
that
the amount
I
of
want
water.
to watch. I would watch that.
I'd watch that.
Oh, yeah, me too.
All right, question number 3. Saquon Barkley is getting ripped for playing golf with President Trump. So if the President of the United States, regardless of their party affiliation, invited you to play golf, would you go?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even have to think twice about
Give
that.
me the worst president we've ever had. I would love it.
And I love Saquon's response to all that of, hey, I got invited to play golf with the president. I respect the office, so I took him up on the offer.
And not to mention the fact that Barkley pointed out that he played with Obama a couple months ago. So,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
No, you got hopefully Secret Service detail following you around. So I don't want a big group following me. Hopefully their eyes are off in the woods looking at other things. Are they keeping your score?
That's the thing. When you're playing with President Trump, like, How many mulligans? You just not say anything, I guess? You just kind of let him, even though I'm sure he's pretty good, but
I think he's a pretty good golfer.
Yeah, you just let him.
You just kind of let him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't
I
see
mean,
that. You can drop. Yeah, I didn't
No,
see that.
he's in the leather on most putts.
All right, next question. If you had to pick one campus in the SEC to represent the whole entire league in a worldwide television campaign, which school best typifies the academics, athletics, college lifestyle, or the overall look of a Southeastern Conference institution? Which of the 16 would you sign up to portray the SEC on a worldwide advertising campaign?
Oh, man.
Well, when you said academics, it kind of excluded a couple.
I was about to
Yeah.
say I was gonna bite the bullet and say Alabama, but I'll be honest, academically, I don't know if that's the.
See, when I think
Standard.
academics, I think like Georgia, Florida, obviously Vanderbilt, but I wouldn't pick Vanderbilt.
So you go Georgia or Florida?
Probably. Because I remember when I went to Gainesville, I thought campus was beautiful, had a great time in the swamp.
Yeah, but
I've never been to Athens.
you see a bunch of people walking by in blue jean shorts. I don't think
well, that's true, yeah.
That's an accurate portrayal of the rest of the conference.
So
That's
I
true.
think if I know Landrum right, I think Landrum's going more of an angle of one of the antebellum schools of the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah. Problem I have with Ole Miss is I would like to merge about 5 campuses to
Yeah.
make the perfect campus to encompass all of the criteria that you laid forth.
Okay, but you got to give me one. Worldwide television campaign. Which school is being represented in that campaign?
I mean, if you're simply looking at it from a standpoint of, hey, this is what, if you want the best college experience that you could have, I am totally biased, but I would 100% say Alabama.
Aesthetically, as far as architecture, layout of the campus, I would absolutely, unequivocally say Auburn.
I was thinking Auburn, too. For that reason, yeah.
Auburn certainly has the edge
Ole
in the
Miss-
academic category.
Ole Miss is definitely, though.
See, I've never been to Oxford.
It's a good time.
That is so amazing to me.
It's a good time.
So
Never
you guys
been
would
to
not consider
Yeah.
Texas?
I see, Pat. I was going to say I think a lot of people would say Texas, but no.
I've
no.
seen the campus, but I've never been to Austin, so
They're too new. It doesn't count.
They have a 5-year probation.
That's
before they
right.
can be
Yeah,
in
it's
charge.
like the Hall of Fame. You can't be eligible for this for 5 years.
Okay.
what about LSU?
LSU's a beautiful
That-
campus.
yeah.
LSU would be another good one.
Beautiful. I think Georgia would be
Georgia's, yes.
I was thinking Georgia.
is an
Yeah.
outstanding option. All right, so once again, your final answers, Molly.
I'll go Georgia. That was the one I said first, so.
Landrum's going Auburn,
I'll go Auburn.
and Conrad went Alabama.
Alabama.
Okay.
Is that how they finish? In order?
I hope not. I really hope not.
All right, BB, here we go. Here's your question of the day. So, BB, she's been presenting me these questions that we've been filtering in through the broadcast.
Right.
BB says, I hate packaging. What is the one man-made feature or safety enhancement you encounter on a frequent basis that drives you absolutely crazy?
Parking garage. I'm kidding.
I cannot stand, and this is so specific, the little LED batteries, the little round disc type batteries that you get now
Yeah.
to put in.
Oh, they look like little magnets almost?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are, yeah.
You have to have a chainsaw to get into that package.
That's
I'm
a
not
good one.
kidding.
Yeah,
You can't puncture it with a car key.
No, I went through this with the Christmas Village stuff. Had to get some new batteries for some of Paige's Christmas Village stuff a
Yeah.
couple months ago. Oh, my gosh.
So you know what I'm talking about.
100%.
I'm not kidding. You could take gardening snips and not get through that package. And I don't know why, if they're worried about moisture or something getting on the battery, or if these batteries, people steal them a lot. I don't know. But, yeah, I had to replace the battery and a remote for my wife's car. And had gone into the pharmacy, which they had these batteries. It was like at a local CVS. Came back out, was going to change the battery, and I was in my wife's car. Literally had to ask a dude, and this is so taboo, if he had a pocket knife. But you know what? I got in.
Were you embarrassed to have to ask another man for his pocket knife?
Of course.
How about you, Molly?
And this is like a safety sort of fee, or like a sort of package?
Yeah, it could be a package or anything that you come in that is supposed to be a safety enhancement, but it just drives you crazy.
The first thing that came to mind, and I get why these are on there, because they are very, very important, especially for small children. But like on an Advil bottle or something like that, or certain bottles that are really hard to get open, like even when you have to press them down.
Just press and turn, baby.
I have weak hands. And sometimes it hurts and makes them really rough. Again, I get why it's there, but sometimes I just can't get them open, even when I press so hard. And yeah.
So this is why you have days on end migraines.
Yes.
You couldn't get into that. You couldn't get into that Advil 3 days ago.
Or this is another one. A lot of my car doesn't have this, but my parents' car does. A lot of new cars, if you automatically open the door, it'll just shut off the car. I don't know why my parents' car does that, but I am short. So whenever I reach to grab, like when you're at the airport, you need to grab the ticket, I always have to open the door and like hang out the window because I can't reach. And so the first time I drove my parents' car at the airport, I reached and I was like, why isn't my car going? I was like, wait, it's turned off because I opened the door. My car doesn't do that, but theirs does.
That's our Molly.
How about you, Conrad?
Well, in a similar vein, I just thought of this when Molly said that. So Paige's car has something where if you stop at a red light or a stop sign, like if your car is stopped for more than a couple seconds, it'll automatically turn it off.
Oh, yep. I hate that.
I turned that off. That feature on my car, and I turned it off.
Doesn't it conserve energy, or
supposedly
is it better for the environment?
Yeah, but what happens to your starter? Doesn't your starter go out quicker because your car's coming off?
Maybe it does. Maybe there's an angle there.
That, and I don't know if y'all's cars do this either, but she has like and I get why it's there. It's supposed to help you in case you're swerving in traffic or maybe you fall asleep and go into another lane and it beeps. But sometimes when you're just driving, going around a turn, like the car will just start beeping because it thinks you're going into a different lane, but you're just turning. That drives me insane. But I'll
tell you one that I had. Pat had to come pick me up. Remember when I called from the police station, but the oil filter sensor in my truck had gone out. The oil level was fine, but the filter sensor, and it automatically would shut off the truck.
Yep.
You couldn't drive it.
Yep.
He was worried about you burning up the engine.
Yep.
And it was just a faulty sensor that had run its life.
And the first lady of Social Taco,
there she is.
BB, is joining us here on Three Man Front. That outstanding question that we just read about the safety enhancement. All right, so what were you thinking of when you wrote that? What in particular?
I literally hate everything that's in any kind of a plastic.
Little package.
And they put such hard plastic on things now. I got a special tool that has several different ways to cut around these plastic containers where everything is so shrink wrapped in there, so I can cut the whole edge around. And
you know what I'm talking about with the batteries.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's horrible. And it's another thing that drives me crazy is this isn't really a safety enhancement per se, but it's just the way things are packaged. When you get shredded cheese or just about anything now, you've got to find the little, because it's got the strip.
The little.
So and you got to pull the strip.
So you can zip block
so
it. So
then you can get it, and then I cut all the stuff off, and I put them in my own.
You roll it, and then you clip it?
No, I just transferred into little Ziploc plastic bags because that stuff drives me nuts.
Those Ziplocs never work.
No,
they never
don't
work.
They don't work.
They don't
and then
fully seal.
Or else can't get the dang thing to come apart.
I'm with you. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, anything comes in a package drives me nuts.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Well, we appreciate every single day. I'm kind of filtering and bringing in your
Thanks,
questions.
Beebs.
So it's good stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, that's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Get by and see them off of I-459 exit 32 and Trustful. Online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. Man, a star-studded day here
It is.
at Social Taco. Look at that, Molly, and look at that. Look.
Oh, Molly.
We need to get a picture of that. Put it on social media. All right, more three-man front. We're live. Social Taco, Jocks 94.5. Would that be bad for you?
That would be terrible.
It would be?
It would be.
Are we on the air?
Yes.
Oh, we're just having a conversation about the lovely, fashionable hat.
I like this hat.
That I think it looks good on you.
Smile.
Look, Sheila Smoot wants to get a picture. Look at that. Good stuff. Will you be wearing that at the Derby this weekend?
You know what? I might. I like how it's red and black too. Like BB, wear some red.
Yeah, it's good Louisville colors. Yeah. We're live at Social Taco. It has been a fun-filled day here, as it always is. Don taking care of everybody. First Lady, BB as well. A lot of new listeners. I have not got a chance to go over and see my good friend Joe from Rickwood.
Joe's here.
Joe's here. So it's always good to see Joe and Matthew, and good to see Landrum here for 4 hours every day, every Tuesday. Conrad, it's always good to have you back. Of course, Conrad's going to leave us again, Molly, on Thursday.
And Friday.
I know. I don't know what it is. I think it's his new deal, his new contract.
Maybe.
Where he works 2 days every week with us and then just disappears.
Y'all didn't get that deal?
No, didn't get that one. Nope.
I thought everyone got that same contract. I guess I just lucked out.
So, have you guys seen the statue of the University of South Carolina women's basketball coach Don Staley? Have you seen this? I think it's. Have you seen it?
No, I didn't. So it's not a Ronaldo situation, is it? Where it just doesn't look anything like her.
I think it looks fantastic. It's going to be officially unveiled Wednesday at 3:00. It won't be located at its original announced location. The statue of Staley will be at the intersection of Senate and Lincoln Streets there in Columbia. It's a few blocks away from Colonial Life Arena. It's pretty cool because Staley said she did not want it outside the arena because she wants that reserved for players to get that honor in the future of their own statues.
Okay, that's cool. I like that.
So she does not. But if you've not seen a picture of this, and I don't know why, and if it's been done before, Landrum, I've never seen it before, but take a look at this. That's what it's going to look like.
Oh.
Now, how cool is that? If you haven't seen it.
Oh, that's really cool.
I like it, yeah.
It's of Dawn Staley on a ladder.
Yeah.
Cutting the nets down, holding the net in her hand. I think that's a really, really cool looking statue.
That's very well done and very original.
Yes.
I've never seen anything like this.
I haven't either. That's brilliant.
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
If they had a Nick Saban with him hoisting the trophy, the championship trophy.
That would have been a good one.
That would be a good one, too.
Yep.
But no, that looks really good.
Yep. So Wednesday at 3:00 will be the unveiling of the Dawn Staley statue there in Columbia. It's very well worth, obviously, what she has been able to do for that women's program and all of women's basketball. So the NCAA transfer portal window, it closed last Friday night. Here's how many FBS players have moved this cycle compared to previous years. This year we had 4,842 players that made the jump. That's up over 1,000 from the year before. It's up 1,400 from 2 years, almost 2,000 more from 21 and 22. And think about this. When the portal first opened up in 2018, 1,700 players took advantage of it. This year we had 4,842. More than 1,100 FBS scholarship players entered the portal in the last month alone, an average of around 8 players per team. So to get a sense of the type of a player that entered this spring portal season, more than half, which is 600 plus, appeared in fewer than 12 games in their career. More than 80%, which is 950 plus, started fewer than 10 career games. And nearly half, which is 500 plus, had fewer than 100 career snaps in college football. So that just tells you that teams are looking for depth. Yeah, they would love that big fish, but the numbers point out that it is players with not a lot of experience looking for that greener pasture.
No, but they're seeing it either from the rosters that they're already on, or they're hearing about it from other schools across the country. Pat, I will tell you recently, here in the last 5 days, SEC schools, one program in particular, which I will not name, directly reaching out to a player currently on a roster. A coach reaching out, not even a middleman reaching out. Just blatant, don't care, Katie bar the door, NCAA, we're not on their radar. Nobody is at this point. And here's a number. Here's a verbal number. That's what's going on right now.
Yeah. Before we go to break, I do want to point this out. Our good friend Jody from Trustful, who is a frequent visitor. I forgot about this. Take a look at that picture.
Heck yeah. Wow. He did play in the pit crew.
In Talladega Nights.
And he totally fits a pit crew member.
Oh, no way.
Wait, Jody was in Talladega Nights?
That's so cool.
He was in the pit crew.
Yes,
I'll send you a picture.
What?
Yep. I'll send it
Does
to you.
he still have the suit?
I'm sure he does. Jody, let me know if you still have the suit.
Jody, you have to wear the suit up here to Social Taco one day.
Yeah. You should have it now, Conrad.
That's awesome. So he was with, I guess he was in the crew with, okay. He was part of, with Jean Girard's thing. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. He's got that, he's got the little, not really soul patch, but a little Fu Manchu, little goatee there. Looks very French of him.
Very cool.
Yeah. Very nice. We will get to your text messages. We got plenty of them coming in on the Courtesy GMC text line. We will get to those next. This is Three-Man Front on Jocks 94.5. 1:35, Jocks 94.5, 25 minutes before the Paul Feinbaum Show at the top of the hour. Keep it tuned right here to Jocks 94.5. Don't forget the Atlanta Braves continue their series in Colorado. You can hear the game right here on Jocks 94.5.
Well, as we know, spring weather in Alabama can be really unpredictable, so that's why you need the reliability of a Trane, voted America's most trusted HVAC brand. And right now, you can receive up to a 10-year warranty on parts and labor on select Trane home comfort systems. So to find out more, go and visit Trane.com.
Earlier today, Boise State, they have finalized a new contract with Coach Spencer Danielson. Danielson has agreed to a 5-year deal that doubles his salary. Sources said he'll average $2.2 million over the course of the deal. Danielson led Boise to a 12-2 record in 2024, which included a Mountain West title and an appearance in the Fiesta Bowl in the college football playoff. He had led Boise to a pair of Mountain West titles, including one during his interim season after taking over in November of 2023. Danielson is 15-3 overall. He lost to UCLA in the LA Bowl, Oregon in the regular season in 2024, and Penn State in the CFP.
Back to the Jocks text line, 205-834-9450. A lot of comments coming in after Pat ponders, and one of BB's questions about what is the most tamper-proof, whatever restrict you from opening packaging.
Oh, by the way,
find yourself more annoyed
Can I do
with?
an update real quick on something?
Yeah.
Jody says he does not have the suit anymore.
Oh, man.
The Perrier suit that he wore.
He changed that one for the painter suit.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Little quick update there.
Because I did not have a pocket knife when I was in my wife's car, and I guess you should technically keep a pocket knife in your pocket. I have a bag that I carry with me everywhere, and it was not with me that day. And that bag has many necessary things, whether it's an emergency toiletry, whether it's a protein snack if I get lost
hangry?
in the woods.
If you get hangry?
There's a bottle of water. There's a towel. But there's also some things that I could use to protect me that I'm legally allowed to carry. I did not have that bag with me that day, but pulling your man card, Landrum. That's from Brandon. You can pull it. This is one that I didn't think about, and yes, whoever sent this, you're absolutely right. The no-spill safety nozzle on a gas can, especially a full 5-gallon one. I feel like I need 4 hands to pour freaking gas into my lawnmower. Any lawn or power equipment pressure washer, I want to throw it across the yard some days. Yeah, you know what he's talking about? Here's what he's talking about. So you have the nozzle of the gas can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Inside, you have a thing that you have to depress, and it has to depress. And theoretically, I think what they want you to do is put it on the ledge of whatever you're pouring into.
Yep.
The tank. But it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Thank you.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, I don't have a purse. You don't want to see my purse.
I'm just glad that Landrum having to ask someone for a pocket knife has distracted people from my tire situation.
Yes, right? And half of these people, they haven't picked up a pocket knife in 10 years, but it's easy. Josh says on the cussing thing, I'd have to go with the NFL. Think about corners and wideouts, the trenches talking, players on the sideline yapping on the field. Yeah, I think it would be up there.
It's a good one.
Do we agree that Major League Baseball probably has the least? I mean, I think it's still a lot, but I don't know. I feel like when you see guys, cutting up on the bases and stuff, they seem to be having a good time. Be friendly.
I was talking to one of the softest spoken individuals ever, and I asked Kalin DeBoer. He's now at Michigan. I said, do you ever trash talk? Because you're always just smiling. You're a nice guy. You don't use foul language that I know of, and everybody speaks so highly of him. And he said, oh, yeah. He said, but I do it quietly on the court. He said, we're coming down in transition. I'll say something, but where nobody else can hear it but him. So there's a lot of that trash talk.
Have y'all ever heard any of the mic'd up clips from Andrew Luck when he was in the NFL? Because he didn't trash talk. Every time he got sacked, he'd do, "Oh, good sack, buddy."
Yeah.
Like, and the other players would talk about how mad it would make them because he would just talk about how great the other players were. He would never trash talk. He'd always compliment them.
This one rolls in. If they don't make the playoffs this year, who do you think will be on the hot seat first? Kiffin or DeBoer? It's easy. DeBoer.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would have jumped in the transfer portal for my fandom if Milroe had stayed.
Oh, man.
Back to Don Don's shirt. Posey asks, so Don Don isn't wearing a Tua Perry shirt? No, he is not. They did not offer that in the Perry Ellis line.
And neither is Landrum anymore because you gave it away.
I did give it away. There's somebody that needed it probably more than me that hopefully is enjoying it in this warm weather. Hey, Conrad, just got done stomping a waffle in the shower.
Oh, my goodness.
Are you proud? Was the water supposed to be on?
Oh, my gosh.
P.S. How is Molly's nice mustache coming in? Love the show.
Still working on it.
And always leave the water on in the shower.
Jeremiah Cobb, Damari Austin, going to be dark horses in the SEC at running back, going back to the running back conversation. Let's see here. Oh, yeah, somebody just sent the picture of the safety gas nozzle thing, and he said it's bull crap, bull junk.
Yeah, I hate that. I had to deal with that Sunday, filling up my lawnmower.
Jerry Barnett from Hayden, thank you very much. NCIS, Agent Gibbs, rule number 9, never go anywhere without a knife. This is true.
That is my father. As long as I have walked the earth, my father has always had a pocket knife in his pocket.
So random. Was Conrad at the Loves on 20 recently?
I don't think so.
I thought, is that where you shower or do you go to the Y?
Look at the sign the guy sent us.
Oh my goodness. Ew.
What does it say?
Yeah, that's
It
definitely for
says,
Conrad.
please do not poop in the shower and use your foot to push the poop down the shower drain. Thank you. And there is the
poop emoji.
The iPhone poop emoji.
That's a real sign that was at a gas station bathroom. There's
no way. There is no way that he made this up. Look at the cinder block. That is a Love's truck stop bathroom. I'm sending this to you right now.
I can't believe that's a real sign. I guess this is a good time to say that I actually don't do that, and I highly discourage anybody from doing that.
Yeah, you never know when people are listening and how they listen.
Thanks, Molly. Thank you.
That was good, Molly, taking a shot at you. That's great.
I do not condone those behaviors. What is the disclaimer in front of like Jackass and stuff? Don't try this at home.
Yeah, don't do it at home.
Or at a Love's bath stop, apparently.
That's wild.
Whew. I can't believe that's a real sign.
It's like whoever handles their stuff like that, they just came in. Hey, could you make us a sign, please?
I want to send that to Paige and get her to print one and put it up in their bathroom at home.
I just like that somebody went and took the time to find the poop emoji and enlarge it and copy-paste it onto that flyer before they printed it out.
We will continue with your text messages.
Molly, I want a Jordan Hudson update.
Yes. Hopefully she'll have that next. This is 3-Man Front, Jocks 94.5.
We continue. We're live here at Social Taco in Homewood. We appreciate, well, Molly, a lot of people just sticking around. This was not, hey, going to come in for lunch. It's, hey, let's turn this into an afternoon. We love that.
It was a party up here today.
Yeah.
You have to wear BB's hat.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's always a party.
Yeah. You could pull that look off. Have you been to the Derby? Did you tell me that?
I have not, but I've always wanted to go.
Okay, that's one of the few places you've never been. Conrad, have you ever been to the Derby? No,
I've been to Churchill Downs. I've just never.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I've been to the venue. I've just not to the actual event.
Okay. Well, we appreciate all of our friends. We're here at 10 to 2 every single Tuesday. You can come and enjoy just the great food, the great atmosphere, and the friendships that are forged forever. But also, we have the half-off happy hour, 3 to 6, Monday through Friday, half-off appetizers and drinks. So enjoy some fun here on the patio and see all the beautiful people here in the square in Homewood. And don't forget about brunch on the weekends, 10 to 2:30 on Saturday and on Sunday, the Bottomless Tampa's Brunch. It is Social Taco right here in Homewood, socialtaco.bar for more information. I tell you all the time about Prize Picks, and I was a winner last night. I went Braves heavy with my projected matchups and my player projections, and that's why there's not that many Braves on the board tonight, because they are playing the Colorado Rockies right now, the worst team in Major League Baseball, and they're playing at Coors Field. They're trying to make it 2 in a row over the Rockies tonight. But we go to Prize Picks. We look under the category of professional baseball. And Conrad, I'm going to need your help on this. Rodon, 6.5 pitcher strikeouts, more or less, at the Orioles today.
I'm going to be honest. I'm probably going to go less because he's pitched really well lately, so he's due for a stinker. So I'm going to go less.
All right, you're going to go less on that one. And then I will just follow you on that. How about Byron Buxton of the Twins, outfielder. He's been playing pretty well. They're at the Guardians today. 1.5 hits plus runs batted in. More or less.
I might go more on that. He's a speedster, can get around the bases a little bit. Yeah, I'll go more.
All right, I'm going to go more on that one as well. So if we're right on those two, and it just takes 2 that you have to be correct on, you're a winner. Go to Prize Picks, download the app today, enter promo code WJOX. Your first $5 play like that one, win or lose, you get $50 instantly back to your account. So go to Prize Picks, download the app, fill out all of your information, enter promo code WJOX. That's the most important part. Your first $5 play, win or lose, you get $50 instantly back to your account. That is our friends at Prize Picks. That is one of the best things I've seen today. This is the worst thing that I've seen.
Party! Woo! What's better than beach and a few drinks and Jeeps? Man, getting better than that. Law enforcement's definitely made their visitability and made people chill out and not be as crazy. The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
All right, our resident sleuth here on the show, Molly Robinson, has been trying to keep us updated on Jordan Hudson, the young girlfriend, the main squeeze.
The boo
of one Bill Belichick.
So
she's the GOAT's boo.
Earlier today, we know that she posted the screenshot of that email from April 10th.
Yeah.
Saying full statement to be released later today. So she has yet to post a statement. However, we do have word coming out of North Carolina that their personnel is worried that her influence on Belichick could, and I quote, become a problem.
Ooh.
And that their recent appearance in the CBS Morning interview is not sitting well with North Carolina.
Conrad?
I mean, would that sit well with you to watch? I mean, again, like not getting into relationship dynamics or anything, but I mean, again, this is the guy that's the head coach of your football program. He's arguably the greatest football coach to ever walk the earth, and he's sitting here being bossed around by his girlfriend. Again, I'm not saying that she can't make decisions for them in their relationship, but
let's be honest, it doesn't help that she's 24 years old.
No, but did you hire Bill Belichick to run your football program or Jordan Hudson?
Yes.
I think that's where the questions start to come into play for North Carolina.
It does appear right now that she is calling all the shots and that he would defer to her.
Well,
if it was something that she maybe they're looking at it. Are you doing what's best for this football program, or are you doing what Jordan in some situations is telling you to do?
Well, she's the chief operating officer of Bill Belichick Productions, or
right. We don't even know if that's
like
a real thing or not.
Right.
I want to know what Michael Lombardi thinks about this, the guy that came over to run or help run that program and be kind of the general manager for them, because that's a guy that's been with Bill for so long. Like what? How does he see this relationship? Is he, does he view it as problematic, or maybe he's used to it and Bill's the same Bill that we always know? It's so bizarre.
Well, now you see stories coming out from people close to Belichick, and I don't know who it is, but they would not go on the record in saying that it's pretty obvious what she's done. She saw an opportunity and she took it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I certainly think that's always part of it. And that's why, I said earlier, I think she's certainly in this for the long haul, right? She knows not saying that she doesn't actually care for him, but I think we all know that there's also maybe a pot of gold at the end of this rainbow.
Have you guys ever encountered this with maybe a friend or a family member where maybe not the age difference, but somebody new that comes in and they have a very headstrong personality, and all of a sudden you see your friend uncharacteristically deferring and letting them call the shots? Overstepping their bounds. It's like, whoa, we just met. Now you're...
Yeah, no, I had that situation with one of my friends in a relationship that he was in, and I'm not saying that this is the best advice, but it got to a point where I legitimately had to say something to her and confront her about this situation is not okay, and he's not going to say anything, but I'm looking out for my friend's best interest. And he ultimately ended the relationship after that. So
good for you, Conrad.
It ended up being a good thing in the long run, but it was a very awkward period of time, and she did not like me.
I don't think I've ever had a situation with any of my friends like that.
You know why? Because you were the girl.
No.
You were the girl.
I was not.
You came in there and you started throwing that weight around.
That's right.
No,
bossing people
not
around.
Molly. It's so not you. No, I've known people like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's unfortunate because sometimes it's out of a place of this person's lonely. Maybe they lost.
Right.
Yes.
Their significant other.
Yes.
And now they're ready to go back and they're ready to try to feel normal again. They're in a relationship, but early on in the relationship, whoever that significant other is, they come on really strong, and you're not ready for it. And they're calling shots, and you're going, this is so not. But out of respect for them,
yeah,
it's a very delicate situation because you don't want to lose your friend.
No, absolutely not. Don't want to hurt their feelings.
But you also want them to know that they deserve the best from somebody, and if they're not, you don't think they're getting that. I think it's fair to say something, even if it's uncomfortable.
How long does this relationship last? We need to start a pool here on the show. How long before they call it quits?
I think this is it. I think she's there until
she's the one.
Until he unfortunately passes away. Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
I think she's in this. I think she's in.
Do
this
they have a child together?
No.
Oh no! Please.
We don't. Who was it, Al Pacino that had a kid last year or something?
Yeah. You kidding? The goat's still in good shape. Did you see him lifting her on the beach with all the poses?
Yeah, that's true.
Huh? His core's still good, apparently.
He's eating strawberries for dinner instead of lobster now. She's got him on a better diet.
She does.
Oh, gosh. Again, I would love to talk to his kids.
So do y'all call her mom yet?
Yeah, that should be the first question. To his daughter that coaches at Notre Dame, right?
Yeah.
That's going to do it. We appreciate our friends at Social Taco, all of our great listeners, some of the first-timers for joining us today. From all of us to all of you, enjoy the rest of this fantastic last of April Tuesday. Paul Feinbaum, the Paul Feinbaum Show is next here on Jocks 94.5.